The dark-haired man with horns, identified as Kim Jang-cheol, introduces himself as an ordinary graduate student. The man sighs, contemplating his past identity as an ordinary graduate student. Lord Kratos, the horned dark-haired man, sighs, dismissing the game's heroic quest as unhelpful. A dark-haired man with glasses approaches Lord Kratos, addressing him respectfully. Aide Zephyros, a dark-haired man with glasses and horns, reports that war preparations are complete. A terrifying horde of monstrous, axe-wielding creatures with glowing red eyes surges forward, amidst a fiery red haze. The prince who drinks blood, Asrat, a maniacally grinning cloaked man, shouts to end their starvation through a great invasion. Cold Monarch Saragi, an armored woman, powerfully declares their intent to make lasting history despite past suffering. Archduke of Fog Hartok, a stern man with an eye patch, commands his forces to tear apart humans and crush elves. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, a hulking red-haired man with an axe, roars to turn their enemies into food. Lord Kratos and Aide Zephyros stand above a massive, silhouetted demon army under a foreboding red sky. Kratos, eyes blazing red, passionately commands the demon army to listen closely. The demon leaders Baal, Saragi, Hartok, and Azrat attentively watch Kratos. Kratos, facing his assembled demon folk, gives a direct order to all of them. Kratos continues, a determined expression on his face, indicating a significant change in their path. The demon generals, Baal, Saragi, Hartok, and Azrat, react with varied expressions of surprise and intensity. Kratos announces the shocking decision to halt their attack and instead begin farming. The demon leaders, Azrat, Hartok, Saragi, and Baal, stand in absolute shock at Kratos' bizarre command. Baal furiously shouts, "That's absurd," attacking Kratos as other leaders also react violently. A terrified Kratos, sweating profusely with wide red eyes, exclaims how scary they are. Azrat, Hartok, Saragi, and Baal lie defeated and injured, implying a swift and brutal reprisal. A light-haired man in purple clothing grips a dark surface, illuminated by a bright blue glow from above. The light-haired man sits up, gazing around in the mysterious, blue-lit environment. The light-haired man, a playable character named Aged Kimchi, contemplates his inevitable death by another's hands. Kim Jang-cheol, a clever graduate student, pursues farming to become a rich farmer. The gray-haired professor praises Jang-cheol's cleverness and demands he write his thesis. The bald professor with a crescent moon requests Jang-cheol's help on a project, praising his skill. The muscular bald professor in sunglasses orders Jang-cheol to plow the fields. An exhausted Jang-cheol lies on a sofa, lamenting that he became everyone's #1 slave. A distraught Jang-cheol questions his life, feeling used as professors take credit for his work. A furious Jang-tal, glowing red with rage, screams threats, overwhelmed by madness. An exhausted Jang-cheol seeks a dopamine boost by playing video games. The game, known for its extreme difficulty, had never been cleared 19 times. Driven by a desperate need for achievement, Jang-cheol plays the difficult game relentlessly, skipping sleep. Jang-cheol, as the powerful hero, defeats a glowing demon, clearing Paladin of Blood for the 19th time. Jang-cheol, grinning manically and drooling, gloats happily about being the strongest in the world. Jang-cheol plans to level up for the insanely difficult 20th playthrough, still deluded by his strength. The game interface displays his character, a light-haired figure in pink magical girl attire, at level 9,990. Jang-cheol muses about his character reaching max level 9,999, wondering how many years it took him. Jang-cheol confidently selects yes to begin his 20th playthrough of the game. A bright blue light explodes from his screen, rushing towards a shocked Jang-cheol. A terrified Jang-cheol screams, asking what's happening as the blue light engulfs him. The intense blue light continues to pull Jang-cheol, now a blue figure, further into the screen. Jang-cheol, now a blue, ethereal figure, plunges headfirst into a swirling blue vortex. A disoriented Jang-cheol, floating upside down, wonders what's happening, then tries to reassure himself. Jang-cheol, now a glowing blue sword-like form, realizes he's a soul. Jang-cheol's soul form soars through the sky, identifying a towering structure as the Tower of Life. Flying over a mountainous landscape, Jang-cheol deduces he has entered the game Paladin of Blood. Jang-cheol screams in shock, realizing the massive glowing structure before him is the tomb of the Paladin. A gleeful Jang Chul anticipates possessing his max-level aged Kimchi character and becoming invincible. The light-haired man, aged Kimchi, lies defeated, while a glowing blue figure hovers above him. The glowing blue figure, Jang Chul, looks determinedly ahead. Jang Chul, a glowing blue figure, is violently pulled away by a blue vortex, sounding a loud wah! Jang Chul, now a streaking light in a red-tinged sky, frantically questions his destination and what is happening. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man in demonic armor, sits on his throne, struggling against an unseen force and loudly refusing to accept his fate. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, sits calmly on his throne, adjusting his eye patch, sighing in frustration about his current situation. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, regrets not possessing aged Kimchi and despairs about missing the chance to become overpowered, calling himself stupid. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man in a suit, walks confidently through a grand hall. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, declares that Lord Kratos has definitely become weaker. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, speculates that Kratos' weakness is why he stopped their attack. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, proposes that the demon generals ally to kill Kratos and share his authority, reminding them Kratos gained power similarly. The demon generals listen. Archduke of Fog, Hartok, the man with an eye patch, warns that if Kratos isn't truly weaker, two of them will suffer fatal injuries or die. Cold Monarch Saragi, the armored woman, suggests using the Prince Who Drinks Blood Azrat as a shield, while Black Boulder Tyrant Baal furiously threatens to kill her, then mutters about being hungry. The Prince Who Drinks Blood Azrat, the cloaked man, angrily asks what they will do if there is evidence the Demon Lord has weakened. The Prince Who Drinks Blood Azrat, the cloaked man, asserts they will kill Kratos, as Black Boulder Tyrant Baal and Cold Monarch Saragi still express hunger. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, stands in pensive silence. Amidst a red, desolate landscape, a towering castle is visible, as a voice reports the army's morale has completely plummeted. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, reports to Lord Kratos that demons are attacking each other and abandoning their land. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, continues, revealing that the four great demon generals are enraged, planning to assassinate Lord Kratos, who fears he will die if he appears weak. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, wonders if aged Kimchi is merely a corpse, considering it might be better to charge into the human world. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, presents a glowing red orb, identifying it as a video of the Paladin's tomb sent by General Ogmia. The light-haired man, aged Kimchi, is brutally attacked, covered in blood, and desperately screams for help and for the assault to stop. The light-haired man, aged Kimchi, bloodied and reaching out, pleads for the attack to cease. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, screams in pain, his eyes covered, as the red orb emits a dazzling flash. The light-haired man, aged Kimchi, stands with unsettling wide eyes, covered in red glitches and blood splatter. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, distraught and sweating, concludes that aged Kimchi is a terrifying, crazy person he must avoid, resolving to stay in his current place. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, trapped on his throne, contemplates his grim choices: be killed by his generals, or by aged Kimchi in the human world. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, cries out in anguish, lamenting his arrival in this game world and his inability to find happiness. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, asserts that resolving the food issue would calm the agitated demons. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, informs Aide Zephyros that he is going to find lands for farming, much to Zephyros's confusion. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, looks utterly baffled, requesting clarification from Lord Kratos. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, sternly questions Aide Zephyros's reaction. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, criticizes Lord Kratos as narcissistic and arrogant for saying pardon, wondering if Kratos is intentionally provoking him. A historical illustration depicts Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, wielding a scythe against a formidable foe, a battle that made him a popular character. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, politely tells the Great Paladin that the Demon Lord no longer wishes to fight and asks him to retreat. The Great Paladin, engulfed in flames, charges forward with unwavering determination. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, falls defeated, apologizing to the Demon Lord for his weakness and inability to protect him. Aide Zephyros, the dark-haired man, scolds Lord Kratos for his unprecedented blunder and finds him truly annoying, while Kratos looks away. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, expresses disbelief at Aid Zephyros' poor memory regarding farming, but Zephyros, agitated, insists he will continue despite Kratos' reaction. Lord Kratos and Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, walk across barren ground as Zephyros explains the harsh conditions mean nothing grows there. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, with a determined expression, asserts his current abilities can save the land, prioritizing survival despite his hatred for farming. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, scrapes at the barren dirt, observed by a confused Aid Zephyros. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, with a manic grin and glowing red eye, intensely eats a mouthful of dirt. Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, observes Lord Kratos' bizarre dirt eating, calling him a strange beggar, as Kratos furiously demands he stop writing. Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, calmly explains he is simply chronicling the Demon Lord's actions, noting Kratos' declining memory, while Kratos mentally curses him as annoying. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, spits out the dirt, confirming it has no nutrients or nitrogen. A detailed illustration explains that nitrogen is an absolutely necessary element for plant growth. A sad cartoon tomato illustrates that plants cannot naturally use atmospheric nitrogen due to its strong triple bonds. Golden wheat fields are shown as text describes how humanity developed nitrogen fixation for food production, but this process is impossible in the demon world due to lack of resources. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, contemplates the necessity of utilizing nature's nitrogen fixation mechanism. Lightning strikes the sky, oxidizing nitrogen into nitrite with its high voltage. The nitrite then mixes with rainwater and is absorbed into the soil, as a cartoon ground happily anticipates. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, floats menacingly above a light-haired armored man, revealing his main technique. Lord Kratos' pale, clawed hand is covered in blood as he executes a bloody attack. The light-haired armored man screams as he is overwhelmed by a strike and dies. Kratos' technique, exploding with lightning and moisture, is described as ideal for creating fertile soil. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, instructs Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, to stand back. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, exclaims, "Here I go!" as his clawed hand digs into an arm, drawing blood with a bloody impact. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, screams in pain, lamenting the Demon Lord's lunatic and painful technique. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, reacts with visible confusion and agitation. The demon generals, Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, Archduke of Fog Hartok, the Prince who drinks blood Azrad, and Cold Monarch Saragiel observe Lord Kratos, concluding he has grown weaker. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, screams "Hike!" in terror. Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, perceives Lord Kratos as an assassin plotting to provoke and kill him, as a voice states Kratos has gotten weaker. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, declares his bloody attack is preferable to dying as his clawed hand cuts into an arm. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, enveloped in red energy, screams, unleashing a powerful strike. Red energy erupts powerfully from Lord Kratos. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, clutches his profusely bleeding arm, with Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, observing. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, curses in pain as Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, watches. Aid Zephyros, the dark-haired man, steps towards the agitated Lord Kratos, addressing him directly. Archduke of Fog Hartok questions Lord Kratos' well-being, while the Prince who drinks blood Azrad and Black Boulder Tyrant Baal look on menacingly. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, screams in agonizing pain. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man in pink attire, stands overlooking a scenic, colorful landscape with distant mountains and a town. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man, reflects on faint memories of a previous life, recalling having lived this life more than 10 times and heading towards a particular place. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man, looks at his empty hand, realizing his summon of duty is gone and silent. A character profile identifies the light-haired man as NPC Aged Kimchi at level 9990. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man, glances over his shoulder at the distant view. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man, strides purposefully through the vibrant, open landscape. Lord Kratos, Archduke of Fog, Hartok, the Prince who drinks blood, Azrad, and Black Boulder Tyrant Baal walk together. The Prince who drinks blood Azrad, the cloaked man, menacingly reminds Lord Kratos that the strongest among them becomes the Demon Lord. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, grimaces in fear, internally lamenting the demon general's overwhelming strength and his current inability to use skills. The prince who drinks blood, Azrek, the cloaked man, stands over Lord Kratos, who feels immense pressure and observes Azrek gathering strength before their impending fight. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, the cloaked man, smiles unsettlingly, uttering, "But the prince who drinks blood, Azrat, the cloaked man, challenges Lord Kratos, questioning if he can defeat all 4 generals in his weakened state. Archduke of Fog Hartok, the dark-haired man, and Cold Monarch Saragi, the armored woman, peek from behind a tree, observing the prince who drinks blood, Azrat. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, expresses his exasperation and frustration. Archduke of Fog Hartok, the dark-haired man, with Cold Monarch Saragi, states they will watch Lord Kratos' fight and intervene only if it seems possible. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, glares furiously, calling the generals evil bastards. Archduke of Fog Hartok, the dark-haired man, reminds Lord Kratos that, as demons, their evil nature is simply expected. Archduke of Fog Hartok declares the demon tradition of fighting to the death, then urgently tells someone to wait, noting their quick action. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, the cloaked man, confidently boasts he will win against the weakened Lord Kratos. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, panics, repeatedly questioning what to do. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, struggles to lift his throne, realizing his strength is considerable, but not extraordinary. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, the cloaked man, charges at a terrified Lord Kratos, who cries, "He-Ike." Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, recognizes Azrat's movement from the game, identifying it as either a thrust or a slash. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, grimaces in terror, believing the impending attack is unavoidable. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, narrowly dodges the prince who drinks blood, Azrat's bloody sword strike. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, reacts with shock, wondering how he managed to dodge the attack. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, observes the prince who drinks blood, Azrat's left foot position, deducing he will execute a thrust. Aged Kimchi, the light-haired man, faces the prince who drinks blood, Azrat, recognizing Azrat's attack motion from the game. Lord Kratos, the dark-haired man, exclaims "RGH" in frustration as the prince who drinks blood, Azrat, lunges forward. Archduke of Fog Hartok and Cold Monarch Saragi comment on Lord Kratos' terror after dodging and question why he didn't counterattack, opting to observe further. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, charges with a swift FWOOSH, prompting a terrified AHHH from Lord Kratos as he recoils. Lord Kratos glares, a red eye glowing, wondering what is happening. Lord Kratos realizes all of the prince who drinks blood, Azrat's movements are exactly the same as they were in the game. The man playing the game recalls his shock when first encountering Azrat, whose unpredictable, fast attacks made him seem impossible to defeat. The man playing the game details how he kept dying to Azrat, repeatedly getting struck down once, thrice, and then 10 times. The man playing the game reminisces finally defeating Azrat after 128 tries, eventually mastering his patterns for no-hit runs. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, charges menacingly with a loud, gay HHH as Lord Kratos ponders, realizing something critical. With a maniacal grin and glowing red eyes, Lord Kratos confidently declares, "The prince who drinks blood, Azrat's attacks will not hit him," followed by a wham. Black Boulder Tyrant Bale, Archduke of Fog Hartok, and Cold Monarch Saragi peek from behind a tree, reacting with surprise to the sharp sounds of battle. Lord Kratos and the prince who drinks blood, Azrat, engage in intense combat, with multiple wham sounds marking Kratos' rapid dodges against Azrat's attacks. Archduke of Fog Hartok, observing with Black Boulder Tyrant Bale and Cold Monarch Saragi, realizes Lord Kratos is enjoying the fight and laughing at the prince who drinks blood, Azrat's perceived weakness. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, glares, seething with anger, and calls Kratos a scumbag. Lord Kratos expresses relief, acknowledging he still can't defeat Azrat, but has realized something important following a whack. Lord Kratos looks surprised at a glowing blue screen, questioning if it's the messenger often seen in webtoons. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, screams in pain from an AHHH attack as a blue system message appears, announcing a reward. A part of the game system used by playable characters has been unlocked. Lord Kratos looks with a serious and slightly bewildered expression, processing the newly unlocked system message. A green targeting reticle appears over the prince who drinks blood, Azrat's distressed face, indicating the targeting system used for special skills. with a whip sound. Lord Kratos's pale, clawed hand plunges into the prince who drinks blood Azrat's arm, drawing blood with whack and ACK sounds. With a manic grin, glowing red eyes, and surging red energy, Lord Kratos unleashes a powerful blood strike. Lord Kratos, enveloped in red energy, floats above as his attack engulfs the prince who drinks blood Azrat in orange fiery energy with a ZZZAP and W-Whip. Cold Monarch Saragi and Archduke of Fog Hartok peek from behind a tree, both looking shocked by the ongoing battle. Lord Kratos stands triumphantly over a defeated prince who drinks blood Azrat, while Archduke of Fog Hartok and Cold Monarch Saragi shout Kratos in excitement, and Black Boulder Tyrant Baal calls it awesome! Lord Kratos stands over the prince who drinks blood Azrat, who kneels, injured and smoking, covered in glowing orange cracks. The prince who drinks blood Azrat coughs, his chest covered in glowing orange cracks, clearly injured from the attack. Lord Kratos reacts with furious disbelief, realizing the prince who drinks blood Azrat is still alive despite being hit by an in-game instant death attack, acknowledging his great recovery. A zap sound is heard. Lord Kratos unleashes another strike, bathing the prince who drinks blood Azrat in fiery energy, eliciting a loud "Goff, Goff." Archduke of Fog Hartok, observing with the other generals behind the tree, realizes Lord Kratos is deliberately inflicting pain on the prince who drinks blood Azrat without killing him, amidst crackle sounds. Lord Kratos stands over the still-suffering prince who drinks blood Azrat, lamenting that he won't die and wondering what to do. A blue system message informs Lord Kratos that he has torn off all of the prince who drinks blood Azrat's clothes, making him naked, to which Kratos indignantly reacts, questioning the message's implication. Lord Kratos intently examines the blue screen, wondering if it contains any good armor. Lord Kratos scoffs at the blue interface, finding only his current attire and no useful items, questioning its purpose. Lord Kratos, standing over the injured prince who drinks blood Azrat with a soft hiss, realizes he needs to get rid of him but can't kill him due to his recovery ability. Lord Kratos' red eye shines as he pauses, a new thought dawning on him. Lord Kratos realizes that since the prince who drinks blood Azrat isn't dead, he can still target him and continue firing bloody strikes, accompanied by a BAM. Lord Kratos, with a manic, determined expression, declares he can infuse the ground with nitrogen, exclaiming that he's the smartest, with a whoosh. Lord Kratos, thinking the wary generals are scared of him, confidently decides to test his new plan. Lord Kratos calls out to Cold Monarch Saragi, who replies with a distressed, "Yes!" Lord Kratos commands Cold Monarch Saragi to tie the prince who drinks blood Azrat up tightly, a request that distresses Saragi as she thinks he's trying to humiliate them both with a wham. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, naked apart from shorts, is tied tightly to a wooden structure, while the narration announces, Step 1, prepare the lightning rod, with a dum. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, is shown with closed eyes and a weary expression, still tied, making a ZZZZ sound. The prince who drinks blood, Azrat, completely recovered, reveals a maniacal grin, taunting Kratos for being weaker and vowing to cut off his head, accompanied by a zap. Lord Kratos prepares to strike the prince who drinks blood Azrat, who is still tied to the wooden structure and glowing with energy as the narration announces, Step 2, bloody strike, with a crackle. Molecular diagrams illustrate how nitrogen in the air is oxidized into nitrite, explained by the narrator. Lord Kratos instructs Archduke of Fog Hartok to cover the area with thick, flowing fog, leaving Hartok utterly shocked and exclaiming, "What?" Archduke of Fog, Hartok, looking perplexed, wonders if Kratos intends to create a more painful lightning torture by wetting the area, then acknowledges it as a creative new method. Archduke of Fog Hartok stands amidst swirling purple fog, deploying his power with the HMPH. The prince who drinks blood Azrat, still tied, becomes covered in shimmering particles as the narrator announces, Step 3, spread the fog, with a whoosh. The prince who drinks blood Azrat is struck by a powerful golden lightning attack, as the narration declares, Step 4, strike, and repeat, with a wham. Lord Kratos screams, Arg! It hurts. In agonizing pain, clutching his arm, which is engulfed in red energy, Archduke of Fog Hartok is engulfed in intense golden energy as a powerful strike illuminates him. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal and Cold Monarch Saragi watch intently as golden energy flashes behind them. The prince who drinks blood Azrat, tied to a wooden structure, is struck by a powerful golden lightning attack. Lord Kratos grins maniacally, declaring his nitrogen infusion will make the ground fertile for a bountiful harvest, laughing excitedly. Lord Kratos continues to strike the prince who drinks blood Asrat with fiery energy, both laughing amidst the explosive impact. A vibrant red and golden energy field pulses intensely as multiple blood sound effects erupt. Lord Kratos' bandaged hand crumbles a small piece of earth, letting it fall as dust. Lord Kratos thoughtfully observes the prince who drinks blood, Azrat still tied up, believing he just needs to keep infusing nitrogen to improve the soil. A molecular diagram illustrates loose, monovalent structured soil that hinders oxygen entry and water drainage. Another molecular diagram displays crumbly, granular structured soil, ideal for farming, with effective air and water flow. Lord Kratos, with red eyes, looks determined as he realizes what he needs to create next. The word manure appears prominently, revealing Lord Kratos' next objective for soil improvement. Lord Kratos furiously demands that everyone get him manure, while the prince who drinks blood Asrat is still tied in the background. Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, and Cold Monarch Saragi stand together, splattered with blood and looking utterly disgusted. Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, and Cold Monarch Saragi express their shock and call the demand unbelievably cruel. The scene shifts to a bright, peaceful forest with mountains in the distance under a clear blue sky. Aged Kimchi walks through a sun-dappled forest, his figure silhouetted by the light. A tiny, distressed figure in the bushes pleads for assistance. Aged Kimchi emerges slightly from the bushes, looking serious and observant. A brown-haired man and a light-haired man explain they were attacked by goblins, asking for help and promising compensation. Aged Kimchi looks down at the two men, who are recoiling in fear at his appearance. The brown-haired man and the light-haired man react with extreme fright to Aged Kimchi. Aged Kimchi reassures them that he is not suspicious. The two men, looking utterly terrified, think to themselves that Aged Kimchi looks horrifyingly suspicious. Aged Kimchi asks the light-haired man if he injured his leg. The light-haired man clings to Aged Kimchi in a dramatic "whoa" reaction. Aged Kimchi instructs the brown-haired man to lead the way, who then agrees. As the brown-haired man leads Aged Kimchi, who carries the light-haired man, the light-haired man introduces himself as Envoy Rivage Asrahan and the other as his servant, Diel Frontera, commenting on Aged Kimchi's strength. Aged Kimchi listens as Envoy Rivage Asrahan asks for his identity. Aged Kimchi looks out over a rural landscape, pondering that he needs to find out who he truly is. An imposing dark castle stands against a fiery, ominous sky, signifying a change in setting. Archduke of Fog Hartok, Cold Monarch Siragi, and Black Boulder Tyrant Baal sit glumly around a table, looking dejected. Archduke of Fog Hartok questions how they are expected to produce manure and if they are supposed to do so immediately. Cold Monarch Saragi expresses her disgust and calls the situation crazy and disgusting. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal states he hasn't eaten and cannot produce, while Cold Monarch Saragi likewise refuses, angrily telling Baal not to talk about her private matters. Archduke of Fog Hartok, frustrated, decides they should beat up low-ranking demons to force them to produce manure. A small, horned demon in a humble hut desperately begs for mercy. The naked, tied demon pleads with the armored guards to wait outside, as he cannot produce while being watched. A demon guard remarks on the common excuse, as Archduke of Fog Hartok approaches, asking what's taking so long. Archduke of Fog Hartok confronts the tied demon, questioning why he can't provide, despite the demon's plea of not having eaten. Archduke of Fog Hartok violently chokes the demon with his hand. Archduke of Fog Hartok thanks the demon, stating it's a great idea, while holding the demon with dark purple energy. Archduke of Fog Hartok unleashes a burst of dark purple energy from his hand. The demon screams in agony as he is struck by the energy. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal is seen preparing to deliver a powerful blow, his fist radiating purple energy. Archduke of Fog Hartok holds the suffering demon, a dark smile playing on his lips, with Black Boulder Tyrant Baal in the background. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal questions Archduke of Fog Hartok about his actions. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal suggests piercing the demon's stomach, then quickly corrects himself, reminding Archduke of Fog Hartok that they need them to produce more manure. Archduke of Fog Hartok praises Black Boulder Tyrant Baal's smart suggestion as the demon lies defeated on the ground. Archduke of Fog Hartok, with dark purple energy, ominously tells the demon that feeding its meat to others might make them defecate, as the demon screams in pain. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball looks distressed, his jaw clenched, as golden energy flickers around him. The demon writhes in agony on the wooden floor as intense purple energy engulfs its leg. Black Boulder Tyrant Bale prepares to punch with a powerful, fiery fist, an intense expression on his face. Archduke of Fogartok is lifted off the ground, screaming in agony, surrounded by violent dark purple energy. The prince who drinks blood Azrat screams in fury, bathed in red and golden energy, demanding to know what everyone is doing. The prince who drinks blood Azrat declares that humans are not the only animals who can defecate. As Archduke of Fog Hartok and Black Boulder Tyrant Bale lie on the ground, zapped by golden electricity, Lord Kratos sits on his throne, stating that feces without nutritional value are useless, and they need to find valuable ones for manure. Aide Zephyros and the other generals listen attentively. Aide Zephyros questions the mention of manure, and Lord Kratos explains it is the ingredient that provides nutrients to the field. The narration explains that manure is usually made from wooden ashes, weeds, soil, eggshells, and chicken feces, showing a pile of dirt with a shovel. The narration points out that empty houses can provide wooden ashes and weeds, but obtaining eggshells and chicken feces poses a problem, showing derelict wooden structures. Lord Kratos has a sudden, wide-eyed realization, putting a finger to his lips. Oh! Lord Kratos, seated on his throne, commands Aide Zephyros to bring the map of their land, to which Aide Zephyros agrees. Lord Kratos' horned hand extends over a map of a landmass, with mountainous regions, with a sharp, impactful sound. Lord Kratos observes the map, thinking it is exactly like the one he saw in the game, while Aide Zephyros stands by him. Lord Kratos thinks this means he should be able to find the necessary items once he reaches a specific place on the map, which shows tree stumps and mountains. A flock of white demon seagulls with red eyes flies over rough waters, as the narration reveals this is their habitat, with feathers falling. A figure rides a horse through a field under a clear sky, as the narration explains that many demon seagulls in the game ingest nutrients from human lands. Demon seagulls fly over rocky cliffs and crashing waves under an orange sky. As the narration states, they poop and lay eggs there, making it the perfect place. Aide Zephyros, standing by the map, asks Lord Kratos if he intends to collect the demon seagull's feces, and Kratos confirms he caught on quickly. Aide Zephyros, looking worried, reveals that place is called the cliff from which one cannot return, because it has no stable holds, and falling means getting caught in rough waves. Lord Kratos states he knows that much because the place isn't systematically available for players to reach, with Aide Zephyros behind him. Lord Kratos declares with a determined, menacing expression that he can climb it. Lord Kratos, Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Ball, and Cold Monarch Saragi stand by a cliff with crashing waves, looking up at demon seagulls flying overhead, accompanied by bird sounds. Cold Monarch Saragi looks up at Lord Kratos, wondering what in the world he is thinking. The narration explains that many have tried to hunt the seagulls from old times, but all ended up falling prey to the waves, showing a silhouette falling from a cliff. Lord Kratos, speaking to Cold Monarch Saragi, explains he will climb to the top and throw down a bag containing feces and eggshells, instructing her to catch them. Lord Kratos grins maniacally, stating that if this plan succeeds, everyone will be fed well. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball looks dejected and thoughtful with a close-up on his face, while Archduke of Fog Hartok is partly visible in the background. In the top panel, Archduke of Fog Hartok chokes a demon, while in the bottom panel, two other demons sit despondently, hinting at previous futile attempts to produce manure. Lord Kratos stands at the edge of a cliff, observing the crashing waves and flying demon seagulls, preparing to climb, with waves crashing. Lord Kratos thinks about his 13th playthrough, remembering how he tried everything to get up the cliff. Lord Kratos recalls trying hundreds of times and dying repeatedly as he leaps powerfully from the cliff face. Lord Kratos' foot strongly pushes off a cliff surface, kicking up dust and rock fragments, making an impact sound. Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Bale, Aide Zephyros, and Cold Monarch Saragi watch intently from below. Lord Kratos scales the cliff face, his body taut and determined, and declares he ultimately succeeded. Lord Kratos propels himself upwards with immense force, his body becoming a blur as he uses his powers, creating a powerful whoosh. Lord Kratos slams his hand onto the cliff face, digging his sharp nails in for grip as he continues his ascent. Aid Zephyros and Black Boulder Tyrant Baal react with shocked exclamations from below, looking up at the climbing Lord Kratos. Lord Kratos opens his equipment inventory, showing his character model and various armor pieces. Lord Kratos declares, "Unequip all," and his armor disappears in a flash of light, revealing his naked body with a sharp sound. Aid Zephyros, Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, and Archduke of Fog Hartok look on with discomfort and surprise. Cold Monarch Saragi is also present. Lord Kratos' armor pieces, including his head, torso, and limbs, are scattered on the cliff face. The generals, including Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, and Cold Monarch Saragi, look utterly astonished and embarrassed. Lord Kratos thinks that he has to roll his body as he rolls down the cliff, completely naked, kicking up dust. Cold Monarch Saragi screams in shock and disbelief, covering her face in distress. "Oh my, no!" Lord Kratos declares, "Equip all," and his armor instantly reappears on his body in a flash of light, with a sharp sound. Lord Kratos' armor pieces lie scattered on the cliff face, appearing as they did when unequipped. Cold Monarch Saragi looks visibly mortified and disgusted, blushing intensely. Lord Kratos declares, "Roll my body and unequip all," again, his body becoming naked and rolling down the cliff in a flash with a sharp sound. The dismembered body parts of a horned, dark-haired figure lie scattered across a cracked, barren landscape. From behind, an armored figure watches as the severed limbs and torso of the demon are seen stuck impossibly to a high cliff face. In a wider view, the bizarre scene unfolds under a pink sky as the demon's parts remain separated on the side of the cliff. Defying logic, the dismembered arms begin to pull the rest of the body up toward the cliff's edge. Now fully reassembled, the powerful horned demon, Lord Kratos, stands atop the cliff and declares, "It's done." A narration explains that in this game-like world, Kratos experimented by disassembling his own body to prove that reaching the supposedly unreachable edge of the map was possible. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal declares he will go help his majesty, who promised to feed them all, but Aid Zephyros urgently warns him against venturing into that place. As Zephyros futilely tries to stop Baal, Lord Kratos, now wearing an eye patch, questions if anyone can truly stop him. Baal leaps heroically towards the treacherous cliffs, vowing to follow his majesty, causing a stunned Kratos to shout, "WH, what are you doing?" The cliff edge gives way under Baal's weight, sending the massive demon falling toward the churning waters below. Just in time, a hand shoots out and grabs Baal's wrist, arresting his fall with a powerful grip. It is Lord Kratos, now in a pale-skinned, more primal form without his eye patch, holding on to Baal while dangling from the cliff himself. Kratos strains, groaning that Baal is so heavy his arm feels like it's about to be ripped from its socket. A moment of panic strikes him as he questions why he's saving a rival demon general who would be better off eliminated. Dangling below, Baal calmly tells Kratos that he understands there is no logical reason for him to be saved. Overcoming his hesitation, Kratos' red eye glows with fierce determination as he grits his teeth, resolved to act. A painful memory surfaces of a crying graduate student, Kim Jang-kul, lamenting that his professor is exploiting him as a work slave by refusing to accept his essay. Kim Jang-teol pleads with another man to intervene with the professor on his behalf, just so his work can be seen. Flattering the man, Jang Chol begs him to use his influence with the professors to help him. The other man listens in cold silence, offering no response. He callously dismisses the desperate plea, stating, "That's your business." Turning his back, he walks away, leaving Kim Jang-chol utterly abandoned, a memory of past indifference that now fuels Kratos' resolve. Back in the present, Lord Kratos' face is a mask of pure exertion as he continues to hold the immense weight. Refusing to give in, he tightens his grip on Baal's wrist. With a mighty effort, Kratos begins hoisting the massive general up toward the ledge. He grunts, his teeth clenched in a grimace of pained determination. The smiling face of his past self flashes in his mind, a reminder of a promise he couldn't keep. With a final desperate roar, Kratos unleashes all of his remaining strength. He swings Baal upwards in a powerful arc, aiming for the safety of the clifftop. A sickening crunch sound echoes as the immense strain pushes his arm to its absolute limit. In one final, decisive movement, He throws Baal onto the solid ground above. As Baal is saved, Kratos loses his grip and plummets into the abyss. Baal hits the ground with a pained kuah and looks back in shock. Now back in his regular eye-patch-wearing form, Lord Kratos watches as Baal slowly gets to his feet, bewildered by what just happened. Baal stares at his own hands, stunned that his majesty sacrificed himself for him, and questioning why he would do such a thing. Kratos clutches at his chest, feeling an unfamiliar pang of emotion. He realizes that this physical pain is nothing compared to the regret he would have felt for abandoning a follower. Baal looks up, his expression one of awe and dawning loyalty. A memory of his past self-crying appears again, this time speaking the words he should have said, "I'm sorry." A glowing blue system window suddenly appears before a startled Lord Kratos. He has earned the sincere gratitude of Baal, causing Kratos to wonder what that truly entails. He considers the phrase, "a great amount," intrigued by the system's quantification of loyalty. The system announces a new feature has been unlocked, the Happy Point Accumulation System. Kratos stares blankly at the words, "Happy Point," comically wondering if it's a discount for ice cream and if this world even has any. The system window retorts, asking what kind of game world would sell ice cream, shocking Kratos that he can actually converse with it. It explains that he will gain 1 happy point for each soldier in his army who is happy with a full stomach, and these points can be used to purchase stats. With a ding, a status screen appears, showing he is at only 20 of his full strength and can increase his stats to reach 100. Deciding to try it out, Kratos selects an option to increase his stamina by 10%. He scoffs in annoyance upon discovering the upgrade costs 50 happy points, but his current balance is 0. Checking his skills, he finds that leveling up his bloody strike costs a staggering 250 HP, forcing him to conclude he can't do anything yet. Lord Kratos, with long dark hair and red eyes, thinks that if he can successfully farm, he could gather a lot of HP. Lord Kratos continues his thought, looking down at Black Boulder Tyrant Baal, contemplating gaining strength. Lord Kratos' face is seen from the nose down, pondering that being thanked by someone could feel pretty good. Lord Kratos grins maniacally, his red eye glowing, thinking how good it could feel. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal expresses his distress, thinking that Lord Kratos' face implies dire consequences if he doesn't listen, and lamenting that Kratos is a mean demon lord who didn't save him out of good faith. Lord Kratos, with a small white cat-like demon perched on his head, stands triumphantly atop a rugged cliff as his generals, Aid Zephyros, Archduke of Fog Hartok, and Cold Monarch Saragi, look up from below, with demon seagulls flying in the distance. Lord Kratos holds up a broken eggshell, declaring he will put shit in it and throw it down, instructing his generals to catch it. Aid Zephyros, Archduke of Fog, Hartok, and Cold Monarch Saragi look up in utter shock and disbelief at Lord Kratos' plan. Lord Kratos hurls the eggshell, sending it soaring down the cliff face. Lord Kratos forcefully kicks the cliff, declaring farming. "Let's give it all we have," as he sends more debris flying. Lord Kratos continues to kick vigorously, preparing to gather more materials for farming. The first step of manure making involves seagull feces, eggshells, burnt tree ashes, and preparing the soil, then grinding and mixing it all well. Lord Kratos orders Cold Monarch Saragi to crush and grind all the materials, to which she reacts with a shocked "what?" asking if he wants her to do it, and he responds by reminding her she has many arms. Cold Monarch Saragi angrily protests that her arms are not meant for mixing shit, as she unleashes multiple spectral arms, an imposing aura surrounding her. Lord Kratos, with a red glowing eye, looks at Cold Monarch Saragi, stating, "Is that so?" and offers her an easier task. Lord Kratos gestures towards a bound, shirtless man on a cross, telling Cold Monarch Saragi she just needs to keep him still, calling it an easy task. Cold Monarch Saragi, with her many spectral arms, brutally attacks the bound man on the cross with a powerful chalk sound. Cold Monarch Saragi, looking visibly relieved but still cautious, says she got scared for a second and acknowledges she mustn't let her guard down, since these guys are all hot-tempered. Lord Kratos, with an intense, determined expression and a glowing red eye, declares he is the Demon Lord and will push on with guts and force. Lord Kratos instructs Archduke of Fog Hartok to fill the air with fog, prompting Hartok to question why, as the stench will become harder to bear due to moisture. Lord Kratos, with a menacing red eye, stares intently at Archduke of Fog Hartok, who is generating purple fog, Archduke of Fog Hartok generates swirling purple fog around the bound man on the cross, making a SSYUU sound. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball squeezes his hand, commenting on the stickiness and confirming that the materials are soft after being soaked with water, just as Lord Kredos predicted. Lord Kredos announces the third step, placing the manure in a dry place and covering it with a blanket made of seagull feathers. Lord Kredos observes his generals, Archduke of Fog Hartok, Black Boulder Tyrant Bal, and Cold Monarch Saragi, attempting to collect feathers, thinking that even making a little bit would take a very long time. Lord Kredos stands alone in the vast, barren landscape, concluding he has no choice but to mobilize all the demons to produce enough manure for the immense land. Lord Kredos, with a furrowed brow, thinks that something bothers him. Lord Kredos' red eye glows intensely as he declares it must be done now, and he will push ahead with the authority of the Demon Lord. A serene full moon glows in a cloudy blue night sky above dark snow-capped mountains. A rustic wooden house with a thatched roof stands under the moonlight against a backdrop of mountains. Inside the wooden house, a dark-haired man sits dejectedly on a stool next to a bed where a purple-haired girl is lying. The purple-haired girl, Flute, weakly calls out, "Dad," and the dark-haired man looks down, asking, "What's the matter?" Flute, with tears in her eyes, tearfully tells her dad, "Please, eat me." Flute's dad reacts with a shocked expression, telling her he warned her not to say such things. Flute cries, saying she misses her mom, as her dad's face is filled with anguish. A colossal, horned, monstrous demon with red eyes looms large, roaring, "I'm hungry!" as a tiny Flute cries beneath it. Flute, the purple-haired girl, screams in terror, her face streaked with tears. The monstrous demon's gaping maw rushes forward, a powerful woo sound accompanying its advance. The monstrous demon's huge, open mouth is poised to strike as Flute cries out, and her dad stands protectively in front of her. Flute's dad, with dark hair and a determined expression, prepares to defend his daughter. Flute's dad looks at the empty bed, his back to the viewer, questioning the reason for her absence. Flute's dad looks utterly stunned and terrified, a pang sound highlighting his shock. Flute's dad screams, "Demon Lord!" in disbelief as Lord Kredos, Black Boulder Tyrant Bale, and Archduke of Fog Hartok approach with menacing steps. Lord Kredos, with a red eye and a cold gaze, comments on the dad's continued strength to shout and commands them to take him. Flute, the purple-haired girl, cries out, asking what about her dad, fearing that higher-ranked demons will eat her if she's left alone. Flute's dad screams, "No, Flute!" as he struggles against the generals, while Lord Kredos, with aide Zephyros beside him, asks the current count of demons, and Zephyros replies they have 20 and need 30 more. Lord Kredos watches with a calm yet menacing expression. Flute cries out for her dad, tears streaming down her face, her hands outstretched. Flute, identified as a girl demon, crawls desperately towards a golden-haired knight in silver armor and a blue cloak, who stands with his sword drawn. The golden-haired knight's hand firmly grips his sword, ready for action. A hand clenches a white game controller tightly with a sharp TTAK sound, indicating a powerful input. The golden-haired knight in silver armor lunges forward with his sword drawn, as a dark-haired man lies on the ground reaching out, under a large, impactful sound effect. Flute, the purple-haired girl, screams in terror, her face streaked with tears, as she reaches out desperately. A dark-haired man with long ears and a stern expression looks intently, deeply in thought. Lord Kredos, with red eyes, commands a stop to illegal cannibalism, instructs aide Zephyros to gather remaining demons, and orders everyone to start making manure immediately, while other demons and Flute's dad listen. Lord Kredos, with a glowing red eye, declares his authority as the Demon Lord, stating that tyranny is acceptable for his goal and that leaders must make sacrifices. Two demons, one with red hair Bale and one with brown hair Dyrol, laboriously dig into the reddish ground with rudimentary tools, kicking up dirt with TTEOG and HVFS sounds. The red-haired demon Bale complains about wasting strength on ridiculous farming, while the brown-haired demon Dyrol warns him to be silent lest the demon lord hears. The red-haired demon Baal argues that they will die anyway, questioning what they would plant even if the land became fertile, as they have nothing. Lord Kredos looms over the brown-haired demon Baal, asking if he is curious about what they will plant, his red eye glowing menacingly. The brown-haired demon Baal looks up nervously as Lord Kratos commands him to follow. Lord Kratos, with a menacing red eye, reflects on a purple flower he saw, confirming it is something that can be planted, as Aid Zephyros and another general observe. A cluster of 3 vibrant purple flowers with green leaves and small roots glows, highlighting their importance to Lord Kratos' plan. The brown-haired demon Baal looks confused, asking if the flower is all, while Lord Kratos stands confidently beside him. Lord Kratos explains they will plant the flower's roots, stating that Baal and the farming squad have already collected them from various places. The brown-haired demon Baal protests that the plant's roots are poisonous, causing extreme abdominal pain and death if consumed. Lord Kratos holds up the cluster of purple flower roots with a pwug sound, declaring there is nothing else to eat in this land and the edibility experiment should conclude. The brown-haired demon Baal looks shocked and bewildered, questioning the mention of an experiment. Lord Kratos, with a glaring red eye, reveals to the horrified brown-haired demon Baal that his daughter should be eating the plant. The brown-haired demon Baal is violently thrown through the air, screaming, "No!" in anguish as Lord Kratos watches from a distance. The brown-haired demon's voice echoes, protesting the treatment of his innocent daughter and pleading for her not to eat the plant, as a rustic house appears in the background. The brown-haired demon Baal screams to Flute, warning her not to eat the roots, while Black Boulder tyrant Baal and Aid Zephyros impassively observe. The brown-haired demon's face is close-up, covered in sweat and terror, with HVFS sounds indicating his extreme distress. Flute, the purple-haired girl, smiles widely with food around her mouth, happily announcing that she ate the roots, feels no pain, and is full. Flute's dad, the brown-haired demon, looks utterly stunned and bewildered, asking if Flute is truly all right. Flute, still smiling, confirms that Lord Zephyros and Lord Baal fed her the roots yesterday, and she feels nothing. Lord Kratos asks Flute's dad if he believes him now, explaining that humans in the past cultivated such poisonous plants to resolve hunger. Lord Kratos grins maniacally, his red eye glowing intensely, revealing the plant is known as the potato. Flute, holding a plate of cooked potatoes, thanks Lord Kratos, expressing disbelief at his kindness towards a lowly demon. Lord Kratos watches intently, his red eye glowing, as a blue rectangular interface hovers before him. Flute smiles sweetly at Lord Kratos, with the blue interface partially visible in front of her. A close-up of Lord Kratos' intensely angry-looking face, with a prominent frown and glowing red eyes. The top panel shows Flute in a previous state, disheveled and distraught, with a red eye, crawling in pain, while the bottom panel shows her current sweet, smiling demeanor. Lord Kratos, with a maniacal grin and glowing red eye, tells Flute that she just needs to eat her fill and grow up tall, accompanied by a hoo-hoo sound. Black Boulder tyrant Baal and Aid Zephyros react with shocked expressions, believing Lord Kratos is fattening Flute up to eat her, calling him an evil demon lord. Lord Kratos smiles serenely, his expression identified by narration as the one Kim Jong-il wanted to make. A magnificent, large castle stands prominently within a desolate, reddish landscape under a dark sky, identified as Shavin de Antar, the deepest place in the Demon Lord's territory. A map displays the Demon Lord's territory divided into 5 areas, with Shavin de Antar labeled as the deepest and first star area. A wide shot reveals a barren, mountainous landscape under a bright, cloudy sky, with narration comparing the climate to the Andean highlands. A hand holds a cluster of purple flowers with roots, and narration explains that ancient Andean people ate poisonous wild potatoes due to famine. The Demon Lord's speech bubble questions the audience if they know human capabilities, while a plate with a pufferfish and a knife is shown below, illustrating that humans can make inedible things edible. A dark-haired demon complains they have run out of the plant roots. Below, Lord Kratos commands Baal to crush them, and the red-haired demon Baal roars in response, surrounded by scattered potato-like roots. The red-haired demon Baal leaps powerfully into the air, preparing to stomp the roots. Baal descends with immense force, his body a blur of speed, ready to strike the ground. Baal's large hand or foot slams down onto a potato-like root with a BB wajag sound, crushing it and sending debris flying. Lord Kratos explains that the process involves freezing the roots for 5 nights, then using Baal's meteor stomp after melting them during the day to cause the poison to leak out and evaporate. The process of freezing, melting, stomping, and evaporating the roots is visually depicted. followed by narration stating they dry, store, and lightly cook them. A steaming bowl of processed potato-like roots, now edible and known as chuno, is shown ready to be consumed. Lord Kratos instructs Aide Zephyros to gather the farming squad making manure as Zephyros turns to face him. Lord Kratos grins menacingly with glowing red eyes, announcing it's time for snacks and asking if the demons will enjoy eating this. Lord Kratos, with Aide Zephyros, instructs the line of demons in blue overalls to each take only 2 potatoes due to limited supply. Aide Zephyros questions if more potatoes can be made, but Lord Kratos thinks the current amount is insufficient to feed the entire demon army. Lord Kratos, grinning maniacally with a glowing red eye, declares they must plant the remaining potatoes to grow them 1,000-fold. A demon in blue overalls, holding a bowl of processed potatoes, nervously asks if they can eat the previously poisonous roots, while another recalls a relative dying from them. Flute's dad, the brown-haired demon, reassures a skeptical demon that the demon lord made the roots edible, citing Flute's well-being and urging him to trust Kratos. A demon recoils in horror, fearing that Lord Kratos' menacing expression means he intends for them to die after eating the food, causing Flute's dad to shriek. Flute's dad, the brown-haired demon, stares in wide-eyed apprehension, surrounded by other uncertain demons. Flute's dad, the brown-haired demon, screams, "Long live the demon lord!" with tears streaming down his face, compelled by fear or relief. After witnessing Flute's dad eat, the farming squad eagerly consumes the processed potato-like roots, now known as chuno. Lord Kratos and Aide Zephyros observe the demons below, who are finally eating the newly processed food. A demon gazes up in disbelief and gratitude, realizing the demon lord truly provided them with edible sustenance. The demon shouts a resounding yes in overwhelmed relief and joy. The demons cheer Kratos repeatedly, raising their hands in praise for their demon lord and aide Zephyros. Lord Kratos, with a glowing red eye, expresses his dislike for the current chant and resolves to change it later. Aide Zephyros, observing Lord Kratos, thinks his confident expression shows he truly can bring an end to hunger in this barren land. Blue interface panels appear, showing the demon army gaining happiness, 50 points added, and the HP stat at 51. Lord Kratos, with a subtle smirk, acknowledges the decent number of points and considers making himself stronger. A blue interface displays increased stats for stamina, mental strength, dexterity, and magic power, prompting Lord Kratos to ponder which to upgrade, deciding to accumulate more points first. Lord Kratos informs Aide Zephyros they will split the forces into a manure squad and a potato gathering squad, then addresses the farming squad. Aide Zephyros announces that the entire village will be informed of the edible food and promises food vouchers for demons who dig up wild potatoes, exchangeable for chunos. Lord Kratos observes Aide Zephyros, acknowledging his intelligence and usefulness despite finding him annoying. Flute, happily holding purple flowers with potato roots, encourages the village demons to diligently dig up all the potatoes for Lord Kratos. Aide Zephyros, surrounded by purple energy, explains that one group will produce chunos while the other makes manure, as a demon complains about the awful stench. Lord Kratos directs 2 demons carrying a crucified man on a pole, instructing them to adjust its placement with specific steps. The demons reposition the crucified man, lowering the pole into the ground with a solid thud, under Lord Kratos' watchful gaze. Lord Kratos commands, "Strike!" as a red energy blast hits the crucified man, eliciting a pained ACKK, while Kratos declares his goal to produce nitrogen. Lord Kratos, with a sharp, glowing red eye, declares there's enough manure, and it's time for the next step. Lord Kratos, looking out over the vast, barren land, acknowledges the immense challenge of spreading manure evenly across such a wide area. Lord Kratos observes the bound man on the cross, who begs for death, noting that the farming squad is too small for the vast land, surviving on few chuno balls. Lord Kratos continues to inflict red energy blasts on the bound man on the cross, thinking he's a capable demon general who can endure even starvation. A dark-haired man, Lord Kratos, with a solemn expression, ponders whether waiting is truly his only option. Lord Kratos, seated on his throne, questions Aide Zephyros about requesting more troops from the Star Masters, and Zephyros confirms the request. Aide Zephyros, referring to a map, explains that messengers were sent to the 4-Star Masters to provide troops for farming and stop attacks, but no replies have been received. Lord Kratos, resting his chin on his hand, wonders if the messengers perished from hunger and considers the difficulty of spreading manure with their current limited troops. A desolate, mist-shrouded landscape with towering rock formations and glowing green lights is identified as, quote, Demon's Land, First Star Area, Cliff of the Dead. A glowing, ethereal figure, Saruthul, with long white hair, reports that Demon Lord Kratos has indeed started farming and created edible food. The white-haired ethereal figure Saruthul believes Kratos' efforts are driven by fear of him. The glowing white-haired figure, identified as Saruthul, the first Star Master, asserts that Kratos stopped the war and is reducing starvation to prevent Saruthul from gaining strength as more demons die. Saruthul questions his aide, a white-armored demon with glowing blue eyes, about the messengers sent to other star areas, and the aide confirms they were handled, ensuring other Star Masters are unaware of the farming efforts. Saruthul, with a menacing expression, declares that all demons must die of starvation to become his food and army. Sarul, radiating power, vows to kill Kratos and sees the title of Demon Lord. Saruthul addresses his aide as Thickamir, who, with glowing blue eyes, responds affirmatively to Lord Saruthul. Saruthul commands Thickamir to destroy all of Kratos' farming initiatives. The crucified man, Azrat, remains bound to the cross, with sound effects indicating his presence against a backdrop of a full moon and distant cliffs. Thickamir stands over Azrat, commenting on Kratos' cruelty for turning him into a living corpse as a warning. Thickamir reassures Azrat, promising that Lord Saruthul appreciates his aggressive nature and will take him in once Kratos is defeated. Thickamir summons wraiths, ghostly figures with glowing eyes, to execute his orders. Thickamir, with his glowing blue eyes, commands the wraiths to utterly destroy the wasteland so it can never be used again. The wraiths scream and surge forward, radiating destructive energy. Thickamir commands a wraith to spread manure all over the land, laughing maniacally at the chaotic destruction. Glowing blue spirits violently till the soil as a voice commands them to scatter and bury the manure so it can never be found. Bwahaha. A large, hooded creature with a skull face laughs maniacally while working, as Lord Kratos looks on impassively from below. Aide Zephyros explains to a horned demon that the manure must be finely ground and mixed into the soil, a job too difficult for the regular farming squad. The skull-faced creature unleashes a massive wave of blue energy, declaring that it's over for Kratos. The bound man, Azrat, remains tied to the cross as the chapter comes to a close. Phew! In another location, a grand, dark castle stands atop a rocky peak beneath a full moon. Ghostly white spirits frantically till the ground as a voice yells at them to stop lazing around, warning that Demon King Kratos will cultivate any untouched land. One spirit, number 1341, notes that another, number 2718, is working much harder than usual, and 2718 agrees. Looking over the vast, tilled land, a spirit expresses a sense of pride and productivity at their collective work. Click. Watching the others, Spirit 2718 scoffs privately, calling their sentiment idiotic. With renewed resolve, the spirit leaps up, deciding that today they will be an idiot too, and join the effort wholeheartedly. As the spirits cheer that their work is nearly finished, one suddenly shouts in alarm, pointing to the rising sun. The sunlight hits one of the spirits, who screams in terror, "We're gonna die!" As the sun rises higher, the ghostly spirits dissipate and ascend into the sky. A large, robed figure with a skull mask and horns appears, shielding itself from the sun with an umbrella. The figure looks upon the departing souls, wishing them a peaceful rest. Lowering its umbrella slightly, the figure wonders how Lord Kratos will react to this turn of events. Inside a large barn, a voice notes that while the field work took time, their own preparations took just as long. Lord Kratos and Aide Zephyros stand before a massive pile of potatoes, which Zephyros explains are in a dormant state. Zephyros clarifies for a confused Lord Kratos that dormant potatoes won't sprout, making them useless for planting. An illustration depicts a happy potato sleeping peacefully in the earth, with a flower blooming above it. Wah! Suddenly, a hand yanks the potato from the ground by its sprout. The potato is shown with a shocked, unconscious expression, its biological rhythm paused from the trauma. Lord Kratos contemplates a solution, chilling the potatoes for weeks before moving them to a warm, dark place to break their dormancy. He laments that his best options, Sergei and Hartok, are currently unavailable, so he must find another way. His next idea was to have farmer soldiers do squats to raise the storage temperature. That plan failed as well, as the soldiers quickly became exhausted and collapsed, much to Lord Kratos' dismay. With aide Zephyros at his side, Lord Kratos decides to head to the farms himself to do what he can. His first priority becomes clear. He needs to imbue the soil with nitrogen. Lord Kratos surveys the vast tilled land, where the cross-holding Azrat still stands in the distance. He thinks to himself that the dirt is now all perfectly mixed up. Azrat hangs limply on the cross, surrounded by the overwhelming stench of the freshly prepared soil. Lord Kratos stares in disbelief, shocked that the field is already prepared for planting and wondering what miracle occurred. Peeking from behind a tree, the robed figure, Fikimir, laughs, gloating that Kratos is shocked by his perfect success. Bale is revealed to be hiding behind the same tree with Fikimir. Bale grabs Fikimir, who struggles to be let go, as Lord Kratos recognizes him as a boss from the Cliff of the Dead. Lord Kratos confronts the captured Fikimir, demanding to know what he's doing there. Wham! Before Fikimir can answer, a fist smashes into his face. As Zephyros questions the preemptive violence, Lord Kratos explains that beating someone is the fastest way to get answers when they're hiding something. Fikimir, though beaten, thinks defiantly that he will not speak so easily. Baal unleashes a brutal flurry of punches on Fikimir, who screams in agony. After the interrogation, Baal, Lord Kratos, and Zephyros are all out of breath, with Baal admitting he's tired. A blue system window appears, offering stat upgrades in exchange for HP. Another window confirms a stamina upgrade for 50 HP, as Baal continues his assault, finally forcing Fikimir to surrender and agree to talk. Beaten into submission, Fikimir confesses he was ordered to sabotage the farmland to starve everyone. It becomes clear that Saruthal was the one who cut off the request for reinforcements. Aide Zephyros explains to Lord Kratos that Saruthal grows stronger as more demons starve, framing his actions as a revolution. Zephyros proposes that taking down the first Star Master Saruthal would serve as a warning to other rebellious demons. Lord Kratos realizes he needs a surefire way to deal with Saruthal's faction, as they will continue to obstruct his farming efforts. The primary obstacle is identified. Zephyros confirms that Saruthal possesses the ability to turn his body incorporeal like a ghost. Narration explains that Saruthal in the game, the first star area's Cliff of the Dead, was a complicated map, making the entire stage feel like a game of hide-and-seek with him. Lord Kratos, with an intense expression and a glowing red eye, thinks that he must now pull the pests out of their nest. Flute, holding a small shovel, stands looking up with a neutral expression amidst a rocky purple landscape. Azrat, bound to a cross, looks back with a slight frown and red eyes. Azrat, with narrowed red eyes, questions Flute about what she is looking at. Flute nervously fumbles with her fingers, trying to articulate her thoughts. Flute bows deeply, thanking Azrat for his sacrifice, which she believes has provided them with food. Azrat's face contorts into a furious roaring expression, his red eye glowing intensely. Azrat, still bound to the cross, furiously threatens to kill Flute for mocking him, while Flute screams in terror. Azrat, straining against his bonds on the cross, fiercely vows to find and kill Kratos the moment he is free. Azrat looks puzzled, wondering if everyone is together now, then questions Kratos. Demons cheer under a full moon, celebrating with a banner proclaiming, "Congrats! Second lightning rod in the office." The celebratory banner is clearly displayed under the moonlight, announcing the second lightning rod in the office. Various demons, including the scarecrow-like figure from the banner and another demon in a cape, cheer enthusiastically with joy. Azrat reacts with shock and a questioning expression upon hearing about a second lightning rod, wondering about his own status. Azrat's face beams with tearful relief and a manic grin, questioning if he is finally free and will no longer be subjected to torture. Fikimir, the newly crucified demon resembling the scarecrow-like figure, expresses confusion with a "huh," while Azrat is also bound to a cross next to him. Lord Kratos, with a fierce, glowing red eye and a menacing grin, commands a "strike!" as red and yellow energy crackles around him. Fikimir, glowing with yellow energy on his cross, realizes that Lord Kratos meant there are now two lightning rods. Azrat and Fikimir are both struck by powerful energy blasts, glowing brightly as Lord Kratos repeatedly commands, "Strike." Saruthal, the ethereal white-haired figure, commands a "strike" with a stern, powerful expression. Saruthal cries out in agony, screaming Fikimir's name and identifying him as his confidant. Lord Kratos, with a furious expression and glowing red eyes, commands another strike. Ficamir is struck by yellow energy, while Saruthul screams Ficamir's name, wondering how painful the experience must be. Lord Kratos, still raging, commands yet another strike. Ficamir is struck again, his face contorted in a silent scream of pain as yellow energy engulfs him. Saruthul screams frantically, commanding them to stop! Stop it! Lord Kratos looks on, with a calculating glance, his red eye glowing subtly. Lord Kratos observes a reconnaissance wraith, a black bird-like creature holding a glowing green orb, noting that they are keeping a close watch. Lord Kratos, with a menacing grin and glowing red eye, vows to make those who dare to ruin his harvest regret it completely. Flute kneels on the ground, busily shoveling dirt, making shoveling sounds. Asrat, still bound to the cross, observes Flute with a quiet, contemplative expression. Asrat's hand is seen digging into the earth with a shovel, making plop sounds. Asrat asks Flute what she is doing, prompting a nervous, hesitant reply from her. Flute explains she wants to help with farming, because the Demon King and all the generals are working hard. Asrat dismisses Flute as a stupid, low-ranking demon brat, telling her to do something useful, since the demon beside him already plowed the field. Flute innocently thanks Ficamir for plowing the field and becoming a lightning rod for them, leaving Ficamir stunned and questioning what. Ficamir, flattered, calls Flute a cutie and thinks she made his hard work worth it, while also thinking he might be losing his mind. Ficamir questions the importance of plowing in a wasteland and doubts the potatoes will sprout, but then remembers that keeping them warm helps them sprout quickly. Ficamir dismisses the efforts, thinking they will all starve anyway, as Flute runs off, cheerfully thanking him and calling him Potato Sprout, making Ficamir call out to her. Ficamir smirks, scoffing at what a low-ranking demon could possibly achieve. Magnificent Castle stands amidst a desolate, rocky landscape, under a striking orange sky, with a bright, enormous sun. Aide Zephyros expresses concern about the Demon King's plan, questioning if Saruthul will risk rescuing Ficamir, but Lord Kratos dismisses the thought. Lord Kratos explains that Saruthul will first send subordinates, and to make him appear, they must eliminate every single one of them. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal stands with other demons, ready for battle, as Lord Kratos commands them to leave no one alive. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal looks up as a black bird-like wraith, carrying a glowing green orb, flies overhead with a soft flap sound. Saruthul, seated on his throne, dismisses Kratos as a fool, believing his strategy of waiting for subordinates to appear is misguided. Saruthul reveals his true goal is to ruin the harvest, acknowledging Ficamir's unfortunate situation. Saruthul commands his crop wraiths to go and ruin the harvest, as glowing blue wraith-like figures float towards a structure. Several glowing blue wraith-like figures scream and surge forward with destructive energy. A ghostly blue, dragon-like wraith surges forward with incredible speed. The wraiths are commanded to crush all the potatoes and trample them into oblivion as they converge on a wooden structure. A chaotic swarm of the bizarre, fish-like blue wraiths pours into the building. Lord Kratos looks down at the approaching swarm, calmly thinking that this is just as he expected. From a high balcony, Lord Kratos looks down upon a massive pile of potatoes, waiting for the wraiths to arrive. With a sinister grin and a glowing red eye, Lord Kratos welcomes the crop wraiths to their graves. The wraiths, now resembling ghostly chameleons, screech in confusion. Whoa. Lord Kratos recalls the pure despair he felt the first time he encountered these crop wraiths in the game. In a flashback, a golden-haired knight faces Saruthul's second elite force, noting that the wraith's real strength is that they move in swarms. One of the wraiths manages to touch the knight's arm as he strikes it down. The knight screams in agony as a pink aura engulfs him, aging him rapidly upon contact. A wraith transforms, copying the aged knight's skills and looming over him menacingly. A truly troublesome ability. Back in the present, Lord Kratos knows there is a way to wipe them all out. Holding lightning-based items that crackle with energy, he asks who wants to be fried first, revealing his plan. The crop wraiths recoil in terror, realizing it's a trap and attempting to flee. No! Lord Kratos roars with a demonic grin, declaring that the real trap is what comes next. The wraiths are shocked to see the floor covered in blood, realizing it's the blood of Kratos that was smeared there the previous night. Holding his hands up, Lord Kratos prepares to unleash his Phase 2 ability. He gathers a massive amount of golden lightning, the energy crackling intensely around him. The lightning surges through the blood on the floor, turning it into a deadly conductor. The blood-fueled lightning spreads rapidly, ensnaring the ghostly wraiths. With a final surge, Lord Kratos unleashes his wide-area bloody strike, engulfing the entire space in an electric storm. A crop wraith is completely vaporized by the overwhelming blast of bloody lightning. Now that the wraiths are vulnerable to physical attacks, Lord Kratos bellows for the farm guards to be deployed. Charge! Muscular demons in blue overalls leap into battle, wielding farming tools as deadly weapons. With a powerful whoosh, the farm guards bring their shovels and pickaxes down on the stunned wraiths. Lord Kratos states that though the farm guards may look unimpressive, they are the strongest units in the final map. In a chaotic frenzy, the farm guards easily overpower and slaughter the crop wraiths, proving their surprising strength. Lord Kratos flexes, reveling in his power and thinking he feels like a ruthless demon king who might actually fit well in this world. Spotting a wraith that hasn't been destroyed yet, he decides to take matters into his own hands. Gah! Leaping through the air with a blade of red energy, Lord Kratos vows to finish off the remaining wraiths personally. He lands atop a massive pile of potatoes, looking around in confusion as black projectiles fly past him. To his shock, he sees little Flute standing amidst the enormous potato pile below him. Lord Kratos stares in disbelief, wondering when and how she possibly got there. A surviving crop wraith lunges towards the oblivious Flute. A horrified farm guard screams out, "Flute!" Ugh. Annoyed by the cluelessness, Lord Kratos decides his priority is to eliminate any escaping wraiths. He grits his teeth in frustration, realizing his bloody strike won't reach far enough to help. Suddenly, a small, round object is thrown with surprising speed, flying directly toward the attacking wraith. Lord Kratos scoffs in anger, yelling at the idiot who threw it and questioning what they expect to achieve. The thrown object strikes the wraith squarely in the face. The wraith is stunned by the impact, letting out a surprised cry. The thrown projectile, a simple potato, begins to glow with the same pink energy as the aging wraiths. Lord Kratos watches the strange phenomenon, completely bewildered. With a thud, the glowing pink potato lands at Flute's feet. The remaining crop wraiths dissolve into harmless blue wisps and float away into the sky. Lord Kratos stares down and notices a potato in the pile has suddenly grown a sprout, leaving him speechless. A sudden, shocking realization dawns on him. He understands. The wraiths that accelerate aging have jump-started the stalled biological clock of the potatoes. Flute, standing defiantly atop the potato pile, hurls another potato directly at Lord Kratos. With a ferocious grin, Lord Kratos grabs the purple-haired girl and praises her, yelling, "Good job, kid!" Flute stares back in wide-eyed terror at his intense expression. Standing atop the potato mountain in his full armor, Lord Kratos addresses his farm guards, ordering them to forget about luring out Saruthul. With a grab, he picks up a single potato, declaring a change in plans. Holding the potato with a menacing grin, Lord Kratos announces they are going on the offensive, as it will be more beneficial. The scene shifts to a hazy, sun-drenched landscape, as a disoriented voice wonders where he is. The bound man, Azrat, looks around in confusion, asking himself who he is. Still tied to the cross, he looks toward the sun, finding it beautiful and expressing gratitude for the source of life. Growl. His stomach rumbles, and he realizes he feels hunger even in his current state, just as a voice calls out to Lord Azrat. In a different time, a smiling Flute holds a bowl of what she calls chuo, happily explaining that thanks to his advice about the potato sprouts, everything worked out perfectly. A flashback shows Lord Kratos' determined eye, as narration explains he gathered farmer soldiers to sprout potatoes, leading to a massive harvest. Back with the bound man, Azrat screams frantically for food. Flute appears before him, offering him a piece of chuo and asking if he's hungry. Hiya. With a powerful shout, she hurls the dried potato at him. The rock-hard chuo smacks Azrat squarely in the face. Enraged, Azrat vows to kill her, while Flute apologetically promises to throw just one more. Several more chuos pelt Azrat, one flying directly into his yelling mouth. Knocked unconscious, Azrat slumps on the cross as the projectiles fall around him. With a ding, blue system windows pop up, announcing that a part of the demon army is happy from eating, adding 1 point and bringing his total HP to 302. Lord Kratos calculates that out of the 300 demons who received chuo, 1 happy point came from Azrat, leaving him to wonder about the other one. A slight smirk crosses his face as he decides it doesn't matter. More HP is always better, and they will need it for the Saruthal raid. Lord Kratos leads his entire army of generals and demons in a roaring charge, screaming for a bountiful harvest. They arrive at a massive, gnarled fortress built into a cliff, connected by a single rope bridge. Two ghostly wraiths carrying weapons command the bridge to be cut off. A powerful axe swing shatters the bridge's support beams. The bridge collapses into the chasm as a voice from the fortress taunts them about their predicament. To the wraith's shock, Lord Kratos leaps across the vast chasm alone. He soars through the air, heading toward a small cave entrance high on the cliff face. The wraiths burst into laughter, mocking Kratos as a fool for jumping to his doom. The two ghostly figures continue to laugh, confident in his demise. Lord Kratos lands safely on a large, white, fluffy creature, as a different bob-haired ghost peeks out from the cave above. The laughing wraiths are suddenly stunned into silence, their expressions turning to worried confusion. Kratos hits the ground with a thud, followed by the fluffy white creature he used as a cushion. As smaller wraiths surround the dazed creature, it lets out a terrified scream of disgust, while Kratos stands over it. Lord Kratos points decisively, declaring that everything is going just as planned. A brief flashback shows Baal holding an axe to aid Zephyros' throat. Kratos recalls his strategic plan. The food wraiths are terrified of potatoes, so if he charged in alone and unarmed, they would react predictably. An enormous, lion-like wraith confirms Kratos is alone and has no cursed potatoes, then commands the food wraiths to attack. Rah! A swarm of blue food wraiths surges toward the lone Lord Kratos. Unleashing his secret quantum leap move, Kratos appears to phase and multiply, creating dozens of afterimages to confuse his attackers. The wraiths recoil, creeped out by his ability to seemingly pass through walls and appear above them. They frantically try to grab one of his many forms, shocked as the Demon Lord's images vanish in an instant. Kratos thinks to himself that since this is his 19th time clearing this map, he can combine all enemy spawn locations into one place. He stands his ground as the entire swarm of blue wraiths converges on his position from all directions. Lord Kratos closes his eyes, bracing himself for the onslaught. The wraiths close in, taunting him for being tired, and declaring that this is his end. His eyes snap open with fierce determination as he proudly states, "I'm a veteran player." Elsewhere, Aide Zephyros screams an order, "Make it!" The farm guards obey, chanting, "Make it sprout!" as they magically cause the potatoes to germinate instantly. The newly sprouted potatoes soar through the air, striking the blue food wraiths and countering strange pink blob-like entities. Amidst a floating sea of sprouted potatoes and pink energy wisps, Lord Kratos declares his goal: farm. Aide Zephyros recalls his initial uncertainty, now admitting that the Demon Lord's words were once again spot on. In a flashback, Lord Kratos gives Zephyros a map, ordering him to lead the Farmer Corps to a dead end at an abandoned ancient aqueduct while he herds the enemy. Lord Kratos reveals his true intention with a cunning grin, calling it a secret shortcut. He recalls his past life, remembering how he scoured the area after escaping the Cliff of the Dead and found the location. The Paladin, his former self, had stood before the aqueduct's end, wondering why such a detailed structure led to nothing. Thud! Noticing a difference in the wall's texture, he had struck it with his sword. SSSHHH! A secret passage opened, and the triumphant Paladin celebrated his discovery. He realized the tunnel connected to the site of his first battle with Saruthal and was only accessible after clearing the area. Inside, he found a chest containing the Elixir of Metamorphosis, a mysterious item made from compressed souls, which he was told to acquire. Back in the present, Lord Kratos watches as his farm guards excitedly celebrate finding sprouts, declaring they can finally plant them. One farm guard cries tears of joy, telling his companion that they and Flute can finally eat their fill. Lord Kratos' expression is grim and shadowed, his thoughts hidden. A brief, warm memory of a smiling elderly woman flashes through his mind. It's followed by the traumatic image of a car crash, with a person lying motionless beside a police car at night, his eyes narrow with cold determination, the past pushed aside. As his farm guards cheer, Lord Kratos knows that relying solely on his game knowledge will get his plans completely wrecked. One of the muscular farm guards approaches, calling out to the Demon Lord, who turns to listen. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal steps forward, acknowledging Saruthal's strength and offering to help in the coming fight. Lord Kratos dismisses him, stating this is a boss's job, and telling Baal to just carry the potatoes. Meanwhile, the ethereal Saruthul raises his arms to a massive, glowing blue crystal, invoking the quote of ice spirit. Now transformed into a fierce ice spirit, he demands the crystal grant him more troops and power to defeat his enemies. Lord Kratos makes a dramatic entrance, his powerful stomp cracking the frozen ground. A shocked Saruthul demands to know how Kratos found him, but Kratos coolly states it's none of his business. With a vicious grin and hands clasped, Lord Kratos declares it's time to exterminate some pests. The two adversaries face off, Saruthul at his altar with the giant crystal and Lord Kratos standing alone before him. Saruthul mocks Kratos for coming alone, warning that he has yet to witness his true power as waves of energy surge around him. The icy power swirls intensely as Saruthul finishes his taunt. Lord Kratos smirks, unimpressed, thinking to himself that he's actually seen it 19 times before. He remembers how Saruthul would always flee as a white wisp through the cliffs. As the paladin, he constantly fought Saruthul's subordinates, eventually wiping out all the mobs in the area. Saruthul would then escape into a hidden room containing the Heart of Ice Spirit, an artifact that traps dead spirits. Just as Saruthul would try to summon more followers, the paladin would arrive in time, triggering the final battle. Lord Kratos recalls that only then would Saruthul use his true ability. A massive vortex of icy energy swirls around Lord Kratos, summoned by Saruthul. Saruthul acknowledges Kratos' strength, seeing it as the very reason he must be defeated. The swirling vortex of ice and wind intensifies around him. With a roar of confidence, Saruthul unleashes his full power, vowing he will win the battle. The narration explains this is the endgame, where the boss copies the player's stats and possesses insane attack power, making one mistake fatal. Lord Kratos thinks to himself that the stats Saruthul copied are those of the current Demon King Kratos. With a wicked grin, he realizes his opponent copied a version of him that isn't that strong anymore, causing Saruthul to scream in pained confusion. A blue system window appears, detailing how HP can be used to purchase various stat upgrades. With a flash, Kratos spends 50 HP to upgrade his dexterity from 20 to 30. Saruthul looks on in shock as Kratos effortlessly dodges his attack. Ha! Kratos counters with a powerful punch directly to Saruthul's face. He screams, channeling power into his fist as a system notification confirms he used 50 HP to upgrade his physical strength. Their fists collide with a resounding impact. Saruthul and his spectral duplicates recoil in agony, wondering why their attacks hurt them, while Kratos remains completely unharmed. Lord Kratos grins sadistically, reminding his foe that farming requires brains too. As Saruthul screams, Kratos instantly spends more HP, upgrading both his magic power and mental strength to 30. A bewildered Lord Kratos stares forward, a single word escaping his thoughts. Daddy? A newly hatched, small blue dragon with wings lets out a happy cry of Kayabone as it's held aloft. The baby dragon recalls hatching from its egg, alone and scared in the darkness, until Lord Kratos found it. With a demonic grin and a glowing red eye, Lord Kratos declares the tiny creature is incredibly cute. The teary-eyed baby dragon looks up, tentatively asking if this terrifying figure is its dad. As Lord Kratos holds the dragon, his farm guards, led by Baal, charge forward, roaring their intent to eat the newcomer. The little dragon, drooling with wide eyes, eagerly joins the chorus, also wanting to eat. Lord Kratos furiously scolds his demons, shouting that they have to raise it first to get more out of it. The baby dragon's joy turns to terror as it misunderstands, thinking its new daddy plans to eat it later. Lord Kratos looks over, annoyed and confused by the sudden change in mood. A crowd of demons, including Flute, joyfully greets the returning farm corps, celebrating the potato sprouts they brought back and yelling, "Daddy!" Flute happily embraces a muscular, brown-haired farm guard as the other demons celebrate their successful harvest. Held by Lord Kratos, the baby dragon senses a warm, welcoming energy from the joyful crowd. A gentle blush on its cheeks, the baby dragon looks up and decides these creatures aren't so scary after all. But a terrifying shadowed grin from Lord Kratos makes the dragon instantly regret its thought, screaming internally that they're horrifying. The scene shifts to a towering Gothic castle under a red sky and a bright, full moon. Inside the castle, the baby dragon sleeps soundly in a cold stone corner. With a start, the baby dragon awakens, its eyes wide with alertness. Lord Kratos sits nearby, looking thoroughly annoyed as he watches over the creature. The baby dragon trembles in fear, convinced they're all just waiting for it to grow up before eating it. Lord Kratos panics, wondering what to feed it, knowing baby dragons eat gemstones but finding only heaps of old metal. Aide Zephyros appears to deliver a report, getting Lord Kratos' attention. Zephyros informs him they're struggling to build the farm ridges, and a frustrated Kratos admits he expected as much. An informational panel explains that planting crops requires building ridges of mounded earth. The explanation continues, stating that ridges require pure soil as a visual of fine dirt is shown. The demon farmers struggle in the rocky terrain, their pickaxes breaking as they complain about the endless stones. Huffing, the baby dragon watches the miserable workers, thinking they're all just slaves being worked to death. Lord Kratos grimly holds the dragon, thinking this land is more like a coal mine and it will take forever to clear. He worries that they'll quickly run out of Chuo rewards and that reinforcements won't solve the fundamental problem. In a moment of frustration, he wishes he could summon a rock-clearing familiar, like a wombat from another comic. His rant is interrupted as he spots Flute diligently trying to dig into the hard, rocky ground. Dripping with sweat, Flute remains focused, chipping away at the unforgiving earth. Lord Kratos watches her with a sharp, calculating gaze, his thoughts unreadable. He steels himself, deciding to stop whining and find a solution, then suddenly unleashes an attack. Razor wins. Holding the baby dragon, Lord Kratos looks up in alarm at the sudden change in the weather. In the distance, a massive tornado begins to form, swirling with destructive power. The vortex grows, churning the air and landscape with immense force. "Oh crap," Lord Kratos curses, realizing he completely forgot about this particular danger. He remembers the wasteland randomly spawns razor wind events, which his past self, the paladin, had faced. The narration warns that anyone caught in the vortex will be shredded to pieces in an instant. Snapping back to the present, Lord Kratos roars for everyone to take cover behind the rocks. As the demons scramble for their lives, he continues to shout orders, telling them to get low and find shade. Bracing against the gale, Kratos realizes the wind pressure is far more intense than anything he experienced in the game. Amidst the chaos of the retreat, Flute is seen running frantically across the barren landscape. Lord Kratos looks back, his expression turning to one of shocked disbelief. Ignoring the danger, Flute runs directly toward the storm to save Azrat, who remains helpless on the cross. "Flute," Kratos yells, cursing her recklessness as a nearby farm guard shares his panic. Without hesitation, Kratos thrusts the baby dragon into the arms of the startled farm guard. He charges into the wind, ordering the guard to protect the dragon and vowing to kill anyone who follows as his men scream warnings. With a determined grimace, Lord Kratos pushes forward, thinking that farming isn't a relaxing hobby and he can't lose his precious laborer. Azrat, bound to the cross, furiously yells at the small purple-haired girl to get out of the way as she strains to hold him up. As a massive tornado rages, Lord Kratos flies into the vortex, declaring that to farm is to live. The purple-haired girl struggles with the heavy cross, screaming for the demon lord to move. Wham! Lord Kratos lands with explosive force, shattering the ground around him. From his cross, Azrat watches the sudden impact with a look of grim shock. Ah! The powerful landing sends the cross flying, with the little girl crying out in alarm. Lord Kratos looks on, his face splattered with blood from the exertion, his eyes wide. The bloodied girl shouts that the binding is from a heavenly king, while Azrat yells back that it can't be cut and for her to get out. Whoa! Stunned and bleeding, the girl looks up in absolute astonishment. With incredible strength, Lord Kratos lifts the entire cross, carrying both Azrat and the girl as he begins to run. T-Bone the baby dragon watches, sensing the prisoner's strength but worrying that his daddy isn't sturdy enough for the task. With a powerful roar, Lord Kratos strains against the crushing weight and the violent winds. He dashes across the desolate landscape, carrying his heavy burden. Lord Kratos continues his desperate run through the storm, the cross held firmly on his shoulder. Gritting his teeth, Lord Kratos endures unimaginable pain, blood streaking his determined face. He lowers his head, bracing his body against the cross as he pushes onward. His strength finally gives out as he stumbles and collapses to the ground. Believing his father is a kind creature, T-Bone flies into action, unleashing a blast of energy toward Azrat. The massive tornado continues to churn, dominating the sky. T-Bone, the baby dragon, lets out a mighty cry as he fires a massive beam of ice magic. His powerful roar echoes as the blue energy intensifies. A colossal pillar of ice erupts from the earth, freezing the base of the tornado. Lord Kratos notices the winds weakening, realizing T-Bone used cold energy as the dragon launches another bone attack. As T-Bone strains, thinking it's too much, Lord Kratos realizes the effort is overwhelming for a baby dragon. The powerful tornado continues to swirl relentlessly despite the icy assault. Lord Kratos' generals, along with T-Bone and Azrat, are all caught within the violent winds. The scene shifts to a majestic dark castle perched atop a mountain beneath a full moon. Inside a grand bedroom, an exhausted Lord Kratos lies resting on a bed. The distinct footsteps of Archduke Hartok and cold monarch Saragi echo through the castle hall. Hartok and Saragi meet, their expressions grim and determined. Hartok coldly declares his intention to cut off the Demon Lord's head while he's down. Saragi agrees, planning to eliminate Baal and Azrat afterwards so one of them can claim the throne. Forming a temporary alliance, the two conspirators head towards the Demon Lord's chamber. From the doorway, the plotters observe Lord Kratos, seemingly asleep and vulnerable. Hartok and Saragi enter the room, their dark and blade-like auras flaring as they prepare to strike. They lunge toward the bed, their killing blows just moments from landing. Both assassins freeze mid-attack, their faces filled with utter shock. Lord Kratos' furious, bandaged face is revealed. His piercing red eyes were wide open, waiting for them. Realizing he was awake the whole time, the two are momentarily paralyzed with shock. Knowing this is their only chance, Hartok and Saragi commit to their attack. Their path is suddenly blocked by Azrat and Baal standing guard in the doorway. Baal states coldly that the Demon Lord is sleeping and must not be disturbed. One of the assassins scoffs, questioning if that terrifying glare is a sleeping face, remarking that he truly is the Demon Lord. Baal delivers a final, chilling warning: wake him, and they will pay the price. Hartok questions their loyalty, asking Azrat why he's siding with a Demon Lord who wants them to farm. Azrat smirks, explaining he's repaying a life debt to Kratos and promises to be on their side next time. Hartok argues that planting potatoes will only lead to failure and starvation, questioning their judgment. Azrat simply smiles, calmly replying, "That's just how it goes." The small purple-haired demon girl kneels in the dirt, diligently planting seeds with a tiny trowel. His hand grips a simple farming tool, a symbol of the hard labor to come. Azrat, his face patched with bandages, states that to proceed, you have to put your life on the line. Archduke of Fog Hartok dismisses this, saying if he's risking his life anyway, he'd rather fight, as cold monarch Saragi listens silently. Hartok's eyes glow with menace as he vows that the inferior fools will regret their actions. Azrat, Black Boulder tyrant Baal, cold monarch Saragi, and Archduke of Fog Hartok walk forward together, a formidable group. Baal lets out a yawn as Azrat quietly announces that the Demon Lord is awake. A weary, bandaged Lord Kratos wakes up, calling out Azrat's name with a tired expression. Azrat smirks, claiming he's just repaying a debt, which sends Lord Kratos into a rage, screaming about why a living lightning rod is walking around. In the distance, a massive bolt of golden lightning strikes a towering structure. Black smoke billows from the impact site. Amidst the chaos, Lord Kratos furiously orders everyone to mobilize and clear the rubble as Baal effortlessly carries away a stunned demon. Baal reports that the rocks are almost gone, and that Zephyros is busy stacking them. Lord Kratos looks over, confused by the news. From a high vantage point, Aide Zephyros is seen directing the farm guards who are hard at work. Lord Kratos approaches Zephyros, asking where he put all the rocks they've cleared. Zephyros gestures off-screen, calmly telling him the rocks are over that way. Foosh! The baby dragon flies through the air as Lord Kratos shouts, "T-Bone!" in shock. The little dragon T-Bone crashes headfirst into a pile of rocks. Munching away, T-Bone thinks about how eating everything helps it grow faster after being too small to block the razor wind. Lord Kratos runs with open arms, joyfully shouting, "T-Bone," as the now larger dragon happily responds, "Dad." He scoops up the happy dragon, laughing and calling it his sweet baby. The narration explains that since razor winds take time to build, T-Bone can now serve as an early warning system, which is vital without weather forecasts. Zephyros notes the fields are almost ready and asks if they should make more Chua rewards, but Lord Kratos dismisses the idea. Lord Kratos declares with fiery determination that the first enemy of farming is natural disaster and the second is cost walls they will overcome. The scene transitions to a grand, empty hall inside the castle. Cold Monarch Saragi sits alone in her room, looking exhausted. With a weary sigh, she removes her helmet, her long, light hair falling free. She complains that the stench of manure still clings to her, even days after being away from the fields. Knock knock, a voice calls for Sergi. She's surprised the demon lord is at her door, but coldly tells him she has nothing to talk about. From behind the ornate doors, the voice pleads for her help. Saragi tells him to go back, warning him away, but he insists on coming in. Kia. As she shouts in protest, Lord Kratos bursts through the door, his body parts separated, before reassembling himself. Stunned and outraged, Saragi yells at him, asking who just barges into a lady's room like that. Lord Kratos lands before her, immediately dropping into a subservient kneeling position. He looks up at her with a desperate expression, admitting that without her, he can't do anything. Continuing his plea, he vows to kneel if it means saving costs, and declares he needs her sharp, precise blade. A flustered and blushing Saragi nervously toys with the strand of her hair. She reluctantly agrees to listen, while the kneeling Lord Kratos internally scoffs at how ridiculous the situation is, thinking she's completely lost it. They stand before a massive pile of potatoes. Lord Kratos explains his request. He needs her to cut the potatoes in half for planting. Saragi silently dons her helmet, her expression now hidden. Gritting her teeth in rage, she realizes she's been played by the damn demon lord. Lord Kratos further explains that the sprouts must be evenly distributed on both sides when cutting. He taunts her by tossing a potato, but she furiously shouts that she never agreed to do it. Undeterred, he yells, "Here!" and unleashes a barrage of potatoes toward her. With blinding speed, Saragi draws her blades and unleashes a flurry of precise cuts, slicing through the airborne potatoes. The perfectly halved potatoes rain down around her, each piece cut with masterful skill. Lord Kratos can only stare, letting out an impressed, "Whoa!" He kneels among the cut potatoes, examining them in disbelief and marveling at her incredible accuracy. Holding up a perfectly halved piece, he declares with a grin that he knew she was the only one who could do this. The armored demon, Cold Monarch Saragi, looks flustered and taken aback. Her shock turns to fury as she yells at someone off-screen, refusing to fall for sweet-talking and calling them a villain and a liar. Oh my. Suddenly, the transformed Lord Kratos lunges forward and grabs her. He deftly catches her blades, leaving a blushing and confused Saragi to wonder what's happening. Lord Kratos calmly begins wiping one of her blades clean with a small cloth. With a final swipe, the blade gleams, now perfectly polished. Heart-thumping, a flustered Saragi asks what he thinks he is doing. Holding a small knife, Lord Kratos explains that some potato juice got on her blade, so he is wiping it off. Saragi is stunned by his sincere, warm eyes, questioning if he's crazy for acting this way. Looking pleased, Lord Kratos notes that the knife is clean and explains it's important to prevent disease from spreading between potatoes. Lord Kratos turns to the blushing Saragi and formally asks for her assistance. He declares that she is the only demon who can cut the potatoes and help him save Chuno. HMPH. Saragi reluctantly agrees to help, saying she'll do it just this once because the silly demon lord can't manage without her. Ecstatic, Lord Kratos runs off to get supplies, declaring they'll cut potatoes all night, as Saragi privately calls him a fool. With swift motions, the seed potatoes are expertly sliced and prepared for planting. From a balcony, Archduke Hartok sarcastically offers to wipe a girl's arm, then declares there's a perfect song for this kind of mood. As they work, a song begins. Potatoes are sprouting, their leaves grow, and their flowers bloom. Hartok scoffs, thinking that Saragi is just another dumb, inferior demon for falling for a few simple compliments. Elsewhere, the captive Azrat questions the meaning of life and whether a life of suffering is worth living. A small, purple-haired demon girl with a flower in her hair approaches, offering Azrat some chuno and inviting him to play a throwing game. Azrat sneers, calling her a brat and threatening to eat the low-class demon alive if she comes closer. Hartok, watching from a distance, berates the girl for not throwing the chuno properly at the crucified Azrat and threatens to kill her. Hartok thinks with satisfaction that Azrat is completely out of commission, a total wreck after being beaten. Back in the present, Hartok announces to the assembled farmer corps that the seed potatoes are ready. Wah! With a cheer, the demons, led by Lord Kratos, rush to the fields to finally begin planting potatoes. Hartok observes the scene with disdain, thinking he had no expectations for the dumb Vale and concluding that everyone's intelligence is below average. The farmer demons thank Lady Sergi for her help, but she dismissively tells them to shut up, claiming she didn't do it for them. With a blush, Sergi wonders about her own dopey expression, questioning if it's the right face for a great demon general. Two farmer demons happily feed each other chuno, prompting the narrator to ask if they aren't ashamed as demons. Filled with contempt, Hartok calls them all idiots and vows that he, the intellect of demonkind, will steal the demon lord's throne. Lord Kratos instructs the farmers to keep planting, as he explains that the potato sprouts will soon emerge from the soil. As Lord Kratos explains they must then thin the buds, Baal offers to cut someone up, but is quickly told to shut his mouth. Holding up his hand, Lord Kratos explains that each potato can produce between 3 and 6 sprouts. Lord Kratos quizzes the farmers, asking whether more sprouts or fewer sprouts are better. While the farmers shout contradictory answers, Hartok watches from behind a tree, finding their agricultural lesson pathetic. The farmers debate amongst themselves, concluding that more of a good thing must be better, while Hartok listens with growing annoyance. Hartok closes his eyes, exasperated that the farmers assumed the demon lord must have made a mistake. Hartok finally snaps, calling a nearby farmer an inferior moron, to the demon's surprise. With a glowing red eye, Hartok explains that too many sprouts steal nutrients from one another, weakening the final potato. Lord Kratos watches from afar as Hartok lectures the two farmers by a tree. Surprised by his knowledge, Lord Kratos asks Hartok how he knew the correct answer and if he's farmed before. Hartok dismisses the question, stating that it's obvious that sprouts and potatoes share nutrients. After a moment of silence, Lord Kratos asks what the ideal number of sprouts would be. Sigh. Hartok explains that while 1 might seem ideal for nutrient loss, 2 is the obvious answer to prevent the root from dying if 1 breaks. TSK. Hartok continues, noting that after thinning, they'll have to deal with the weeds that will grow in their artificially enriched soil. Aid Zephyros and Baal look confused by this news, while Saragi looks annoyed, and Lord Kratos appears deep in thought. Lord Kratos erupts with applause, shouting that Hartok is an insane genius and ordering everyone to clap for him. Hartok is visibly shaken as the farmers loudly chant, "Genius!" The praise continues as Hartok grits his teeth, overwhelmed by the repeated chant. Leaning against the tree, Hartok reflects on how his mother always called him dumb, as the word genius echoes around him. Sob. Overwhelmed with emotion from the demon's cheers, Archduke of Fog Hartok covers his face, wondering why he's suddenly crying. Lord Kratos calls out to a startled Hartok. With a sly grin, Lord Kratos praises Hartok's great intellect and appoints him the chief leader of the Farmer Corps. Hartok angrily protests, declaring that as a demon, his intellect is meant for killing and stealing, not farming. Lord Kratos shouts at the assembled demons, demanding they show proper respect to Hartok, the elite of their kind. The farmer demons erupt in a chant of, "Elite! Elite!" as Lord Kratos and Hartok watch. Hartok finally snaps, screaming for the dumb and inferior demon idiots to shut up. After a moment of posturing, Hartok reluctantly agrees to lead them, ordering them to follow him properly. Wow! The farmer demons cheer wildly for their new, albeit reluctant, leader. Looking at a system window, Lord Kratos is puzzled by the term psychological battles. The window explains he earned Baal's loyalty by seeing his neglected heart. Baal looks shocked to learn this. It continues, stating he gave the friendless Asret a companion and reduced his violence, leaving Asret to wonder who this friend is. The system reveals he melted the heart of Saragi, who had never known love, causing her to blush in confusion. Finally, it states he gave confidence to Hartok, who craved recognition, leading Lord Kratos to realize all his generals had fragile hearts. He learns from the system that his observation skill can target both living creatures and objects. With a devious grin, Lord Kratos realizes this means he effectively has a personal weather forecast. A map highlights a location between the forsaken demon lands and human territory. The scene shifts to a rustic settlement identified as the Village of the Exiled. A single boot takes a firm step on the dusty ground. Inside a barn, Diol Frontera expresses his relief to envoy Rivaj Azrahan, who is now fully recovered. Rivaj smiles, thanking Diol for his care and wishing for a sturdier body in his next life. Diol laughs, sharing his own impossible dream of becoming a rich and powerful noble. Rivaj turns to the powerful hero Aged Kimchi, and asks if he will return to the kingdom with them. Aged Kimchi looks away, admitting that he isn't sure what to do. Rivaj explains that he doesn't remember who he was, or that he ever lived among humans. He continues, recalling that the villagers did not welcome him when he first arrived. Aged Kimchi sits alone, sadly wondering if someone like him could ever truly be accepted. Envoy Rivaj Azrahan and Diol Frontera watch him with concern. Smiling, Rivaj offers a simple suggestion: try wearing different clothes. As the three walk together, Rivaj notes that aged Kimchi, now in a gray cloak, still won't remove his strange outfit. Rivaj speaks to a villager, thanking him for his kindness and promising to inform the king of the exile's plight. Oh! In a flash of motion, a cloaked hero strikes down a red-horned monster. As Rivaj waves goodbye to the villagers, aged Kimchi watches, thinking that his only purpose is to answer the call of duty through slaughter. He gazes into the distance, quietly questioning if there's anything else he can do besides killing. Back in the demon realm, several demons stare in disbelief at a tiny green sprout pushing through the barren earth. The farmer demons erupt in joyous celebration, shouting that a sprout has finally appeared. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball and Cold Monarch Saragi look on with pride as they realize their efforts have paid off with tons of sprouts. The small demon girl excitedly tells Azrat the sprouts have come up, but he angrily asks what she expects him to do about it. With T-Bone on his shoulder, Lord Kratos announces the next phase for the farming corps, earthing up. He calls on genius chief cultivator Hartok to explain the process to the others. Hartok explains that earthing up protects potatoes from sunlight, which can cause them to darken, lose flavor, and even become toxic. Lord Kratos leads the applause for Hartok, who accepts the praise with a smug expression. Lord Kratos announces it's time to use his new ability and check the weather. Tremble straining with immense effort, he groans that forecasting is exhausting. Watching from afar, one farmer demon notes that the demon lord is crying, while another assumes it's out of happiness for the sprouts. Ding A system window delivers the forecast, sunny and dry for the next 6 hours, with a recommendation to use a humidifier. Lord Kratos pets T-Bone, relieved there are no razor winds, and tells the little dragon to rest up. Aide Zephyros rushes to Lord Kratos with an urgent report, but Kratos responds calmly. Zephyros reports that a subordinate of the second Star Master, Planus, has arrived, piquing Lord Kratos' interest. Over a view of a grand castle at dusk, a voice introduces itself as La Ploa, a loyal retainer of Planus, greeting the Demon Lord. A massive tree-like demon reports that right after receiving the ceasefire order, the third Star Master, Ruster, launched a full assault. The tree demon explains Ruster's goal is to become the new Demon Lord, causing Lord Kratos to curse that all demon bastards are the same. Lord Kratos worries that if the second and third Star Masters join forces, their sheer numbers will be overwhelming. Clenching his fist, he realizes he must defeat the other Star Master quickly, but frets about abandoning the farm work. The narration explains the battle is in the Swamp of Decay, a region far larger and more distant than it was in the game. He laments that the abandoned well, a warp point in the game, is non-functional, preventing a quick journey. Annoyed, Lord Kratos wonders why he's even worried, as a small blue creature licks his face. With a ferocious grin, he roars that he is the Demon Lord, and the final boss doesn't go out to fight personally. Wearing a new helmet, Cold Monarch Saragi declares she isn't fighting for his sake. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball roars with conviction, vowing to follow the Demon Lord's orders no matter what. The narration announces that 2 of the 4 heavenly generals, Siragi and Baal, will head to battle with some less intelligent demons. It's revealed there's a shortcut from the boss area, leading directly to the Swamp of Decay. As Archduke of Fog Hartok, hailed as the, quote, genius wide-range sprayer, flies off, Lord Kratos declares that he and Hartok will stay behind to raise potatoes. The scene shifts to a fiery, desolate swamp dominated by a dark, ominous castle. Ugh. A smaller tree-like demon is violently thrown back by a heavily armored foe. The colossal second Star Master Planus furiously demands to know how Ruster dares to defy the Demon Lord's command and commit treason. As his forces advance, a voice admits this is a rebellion, but claims there was no other choice. The armored third Star Master Ruster argues that ending the war now would only lead the demon race to ruin. Planus counters, reminding him the Demon Lord promised fertile land, which would eliminate their need to wage war for food. Ruster angrily dismisses the argument, shouting that it's not the problem. He passionately declares that fighting bravely is the very history and pride of the demon race. A powerful blow sends shockwaves through the fiery battlefield. Ruster's axe-wielding warriors charge toward the colossal Planus amidst the flames. Ruster's eyes glow with fierce determination as he faces his opponent. The sudden arrival of Black Boulder Tyrant Baal and Cold Monarch Saragi shocks the warring factions, who recognize them as the four heavenly generals. Facing Ruster, Saragi agrees with him, stating that they are indeed a race that fights. As she walks forward, she adds that demons love fighting and enjoy killing. Huff! A small, purple-haired demon girl with a flower in her hair runs breathlessly. Amidst the battle, Saragi wonders aloud when and why things turned out this way. A memory flashes of the little girl urgently calling for her dad to come to the field. With resolve in her eyes, Saragi thinks that now they might finally understand. The memory continues, showing the girl and her father looking up in wonder as petals fall from the sky. A vision of a beautiful, flower-filled field emerges as the narration suggests this new way can give them even greater pride. The little girl laughs with delight as two muscular demons beside her are moved to tears by the beautiful sight. In the memory, Azrat watches the scene unfold with a quiet, thoughtful expression. Aide Zephyros and Archduke of Fog Hartok also stand watching over the field of flowers. From behind Lord Kratos' flowing cape, the demons are seen celebrating joyfully in the vibrant field. The little demon girl runs through the field of flowers, excitedly calling out to the demon lord. She joyfully tells Lord Kratos that the field is so beautiful, unlike anything she's ever seen before. Lord Kratos looks down at the happy scene with a subtle, gentle smile. Back in the present, Saragi launches herself into a swift, spinning attack. Whoa! Ruster cries out in surprise as Saragi's whirlwind of blades closes in on his forces. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal easily restrains a large, armored demon in a powerful grip. Baal crushes his opponent with brute force, while Saragi cuts through another in the background. In the peaceful flower field, the little girl confirms to Lord Kratos that a whole lot of flowers have bloomed. A reeling Ruster angrily confronts Saragi, demanding to know why she's killing when she was supposed to be saving lives. Saragi calmly acknowledges his point, preparing her response as she readies for the next move. Amidst a clash of purple energy, a voice insists some must be killed to save others, while another screams that it makes no sense. With a dark, menacing expression, Lord Kratos gives a simple order: cut off all the useless flowers now. A group of farmer demons, including a small girl, look up in horror and despair at the command. Azrat, bound to a cross, screams insults at the cruel demon lord as Hartok remarks on his lord's ruthlessness. In a field of potato flowers, Hartok orders the farmers to start picking them, while Azrat continues to curse him from the cross. With tears in his eyes, a farmer demon reaches reluctantly for a beautiful white potato flower. The flower itself seems to cry as a gloved hand closes in to pluck it from its stem. One of the demons collapses, protesting to Hartok that he can't destroy something so beautiful that they worked so hard to grow. Hartok sternly explains that the flowers divert vital nutrients, and their removal is part of the demon lord's plan for a massive potato harvest. Weep. With tears streaming down their faces, the demons begin a sorrowful harvest, plucking the crying flowers from the plants. Lord Kratos laughs with maniacal glee, reveling in the sound of potato, and embracing his reputation as a demon lord who enjoys destruction. In another location, Baal stands over the defeated and bound Ruster, announcing to Saragi that the rebel has been captured. From his throne, Lord Kratos tells the captive Ruster that this is the price for rebellion now that his fortress has fallen. Ruster defiantly tells them to kill him, declaring that a demon who has lost the pride of battle is as good as dead. Strike. Lord Kratos lunges forward and unleashes a fiery punch, causing the captured warrior to scream in pain. Ruster boasts that his armor makes the attack feel like a mere sting, which Lord Kratos begrudgingly acknowledges. Lord Kratos reveals his new useful tool, a massive third-generation lightning rod, now attached to the captured Ruster. Strike! A massive bolt of lightning electrifies Ruster, who screams in agony for them to just kill him. Pointing to Azrat on his own cross, Lord Kratos orders the lightning rod removed, stating his recovery has waned and it's time to retire him. The thick ropes holding Azrat's cross in place snap and fall to the ground. Azrat crashes into the potato field as the small demon girl with a flower in her hair runs toward him, calling him Lord Azrat. The little demon girl watches with a nervous smile as Azrat recovers. Azrat turns on her with a demonic snarl, vowing to devour the lowly demon for mocking him. Lying in the dirt, Azrat complains that it's been too long since he last walked on land. Baal looms over the fallen Azrat, telling him he's regressed, prompting Azrat to call him a lunatic. Baal effortlessly scoops up Azrat in a Princess Carry, ignoring his furious protests. Now secured to Baal's back with a pink, flowery cloth, Azrat rests his head, seemingly defeated. Baal sternly informs him that this is the Demon Lord's order, and he will be carried like this for a while. Gritting his teeth in shame, Azrat sees that he will never forget this disgrace. Lord Kratos recalls letting Azrat go, knowing his Blood Eye skill would paralyze him for a while after his rampage. Pointing decisively, Lord Kratos announces that harvest time is near and orders everyone to speed things up. With her ultra-fast weed cutter ability, Saragi instantly shreds all the remaining potato flowers in a blur of motion. Hardtalk follows up, using his awakening finisher to easily water the entire field with a swirling vortex of mist. Aide Zephyros observes grimly, noting that with the harvest approaching, their rations and wages are both running low. He watches the exhausted demons toiling away, realizing that even they are reaching their limits. A large, rocky figure approaches Lord Kratos, who turns and recognizes the visitor. The tree-like demon introduces himself as the second Star Master, Planus, and has come to thank Kratos for saving him. Lord Kratos eyes him with deep suspicion, questioning his supposed gratitude. A question mark appears over Planus, who seems genuinely confused by the reaction. Lord Kratos' face contorts with rage, his eyes glowing a furious red. Planus sweats nervously, completely baffled as to why the Demon Lord is suddenly so angry. Surrounded by a red aura, Lord Kratos explodes, berating Planus for showing up empty-handed to express thanks. Planus quickly promises to send workers, as Lord Kratos internally laments that he's become too used to modern Earth customs. Lord Kratos looks down, thinking about the potato harvest and his desire to make lots of chuo. His true motivation is revealed, a deep desire to see his hard-working demons finally eat until they are full. Lord Kratos pauses, hand on his chin, suddenly wondering why he ever decided to start farming in the first place. Lying in bed, Lord Kratos dismisses his concern for the demons as pointless sentimentality, insisting a calculating mind like his doesn't feel such things. He thinks about the upcoming potato harvest, but resolves they can't let their guard down, as relying on a single crop is dangerous. His thoughts drift to the Irish Great Famine, fearing a potato blight could cause them all to starve to death in an instant. As he concludes they must secure other seeds, a sudden, violent tremor shakes his room, jolting him with shock. Thrown to the floor, Lord Kratos yells in confusion, wondering if the shaking is from faulty construction. Crumble. The wall behind him cracks and explodes inward as he looks on in alarm. Whoa. A massive, gnarled tree root erupts from the floor, sending him flying through the air. Flung backward by the immense force, he screams, demanding to know what is happening. In the fields, a small demon girl watches in horror as the healthy potato plants around her suddenly wither. As the leaves crumble to dust, she recalls the Demon Lord saying they would die off naturally, realizing this is wrong. The withered leaves are swept away by an unseen force, leaving the plants barren. She runs frantically through the dying crop, shouting that something is terribly off. Holding a crumbling stem, she looks on with wide-eyed shock as the plant disintegrates in her hand. No, she screams in tears, crying out for their lost potatoes. Sobbing, she resolves to run and tell the adults about the disaster. She falls to the ground, looking up in stunned silence at the source of the destruction. In the distance, a colossal tree-like fortress rises from the earth, tearing the land apart. Lord Kratos struggles helplessly, ensnared by the massive, twisting roots of the great tree. Bahahaha. Trapped in its grasp, he is mocked by the colossal tree demon Planus, who calls him a little bug. Lord Kratos recognizes his attacker with a furious roar, shouting the name Planus. Planus reveals that he used the fertile land and nutrients Kratos created to achieve his monstrous growth, as Kratos glares with pure hatred. Alone in the ruined field, the small demon girl sits in despair. "You bastard!" Lord Kratos screams in a rage, demanding to know what Planus did to their food. Planus taunts him, asking if he's angry before trailing off ominously. With a powerful heave, Lord Kratos tries to break free from the tightening roots. Thump. He is brutally slammed into the ground by Planus' overwhelming strength. Lord Credos screams in agony as blood bursts from his mouth from the force of the impact. Elsewhere, Hartok frantically urges other demons to escape as the gnarled roots attack them. Baal struggles against Suragi and another demon, desperate to save the demon lord, but is told it's insane as there's no way he could have survived. Roaring with conviction, Baal insists the demon lord is incredibly weak and fragile, a fact he learned when Credos helped him. Debris rains down from the sky as the cataclysm continues. The immense form of Planus looms over the chaotic scene, a testament to his newfound power. His strength failing, Lord Credos plummets into a dark chasm opened in the earth. Aid Zephyros, Baal, Suragi, Azrat, and Hartok stare down into the abyss where their lord has fallen. With T-Bone on his shoulder, Zephyros looks up in shock at the towering figure. He identifies the colossal tree demon as Planus, who now dominates the landscape. Planus addresses the assembled demons below. He makes a stunning announcement. Credos is dead. As the generals look on with grim expressions, Aid Zephyros and a sad T-Bone stare intently, processing the devastating news. One of the farm guards reminds the others of the ancient demon rule. Power comes from strength. Towering over them, Planus declares himself the new demon lord. He commands them all to kneel before his absolute power, his shadow falling over the crowd. Hartok grimly observes that, with Credos gone and the land's nutrients absorbed, Planus is now the strongest being. With a heavy heart, Hartok takes a step forward. Following the ancient creed, Asrat, Baal, and Suragi prepare to acknowledge their new ruler. Suragi's armored boot steps forward, signaling her submission. All the generals, including Zephyros, bow their heads, offering their respects to the new demon lord of the land. Zephyros remains silent, his face a mask of controlled emotion, while T-Bone looks on sadly. Azrat angrily snaps at Zephyros, demanding to know what he's doing and telling him to conduct himself properly. Zephyros grits his teeth, his expression filled with silent, simmering defiance. A powerful force sends Aid Zephyros flying backward. A colossal tree-like demon lord stands before a white-haired swordswoman and a muscular demon warrior. Tears stream down Aid Zephyros's face in a moment of despair. In what appears to be a memory, Lord Credos looks out from under an orange sky and calls out the name Jankal. The scene shifts to a peaceful park where a mother asks her son if he wants to play hide-and-seek, and he happily agrees. Lord Credos recognizes the memory with dread, realizing he's in a dream of that day. A woman's voice instructs someone to close their eyes and count to 10, to which a child's voice agrees. As the count continues, Lord Credos' expression is grim. The small boy from the park counts against a tree, reaching 9. After counting to 10, the boy turns to find the park completely empty. The young Lord Credos calls out for his mom, wondering where she's gone. He runs frantically through the empty park, shouting for his mom to come out and promising to count again. As his younger self counts again, Lord Credos' face is a mask of tense recollection. The desperate boy finishes his count and screams for his mom, his cries echoing as Lord Credos watches with a pained expression. The young boy's face is a portrait of tearful anguish as he screams for his mother. Snapping back to consciousness, Lord Credos' eye opens in the darkness, wondering if a message window just called his name. With his bloody, clawed hand, he begins to dig, determined to claw his way out of the earth. He counts to 10, using each number as a mantra to push himself free from the rubble trapping him. Elsewhere, the colossal tree demon summons its scribe to come forward. Aid Zephyros formally presents himself to the tree-like demon lord, ready to report. The demon lord commands Zephyros to record a historic moment, the beginning of the demon invasion of human lands. From the darkness, the demon lord's eye glows as it declares a new age of ruling humans and raising them as livestock. The 4 generals react to this declaration. Hartok notes they're back at square one, Asrat is eager to fight, Suragi accepts it as the demon way, and Baal hopes it will end their hunger. A wave of anger washes over the 4 generals as they contemplate their new reality. Gasping, Lord Credos struggles for breath while trapped, the count still echoing in his mind. The tree-like demon lord roars to the assembled demons, ordering them to take up their weapons and march to war. Aid Zephyros bravely objects, telling his lord that the march is impossible. The demon lord's glowing green eye narrows in displeasure at the descent. On the ground, a weary Hartok looks over at a stoic Azrat. Zephyros explains the situation, stating their only food is a few potatoes, and they lack the provisions for war. The demon lord stares down at Zephyros, contemptuously asking if he's always been an idiot. Slither! Declaring they have plenty of provisions, the demon lord lashes out with a dark, root-like tendril. The tendril whips through the air with terrifying speed. It violently snatches Flute, whose father can only cry out in horror. Dangling the terrified Flute, the demon lord declares that weak and useless demons will serve as their food. Flute defiantly shouts that they aren't like that anymore and don't have to resort to cannibalism to survive. Crying, she proclaims that their demon lord, Lord Kratos, has shown them a different way. The demon lord's eye gazes impassively at the defiant girl. A small, bound bundle is dropped from a tendril, landing in the rain as Flute watches from below. A blood-stained hand lies limp on the dark ground. A grim thought surfaces. Without a leader, the demons will go hungry again. Bathed in a golden aura, Lord Kratos pushes through immense pain, his red eye burning with resolve. His singular driving thought echoes. He can't stand to see anyone starving. With renewed fury, he claws at the dirt, beginning his count once more. 1! He roars out the numbers, each one a burst of desperate effort. Still buried, he continues to fight his way out, screaming the count with every ounce of strength. The tree-like demon lord's eye watches events unfold. Azrat holds a small, frightened demon girl in his arms. Surrounded by golden energy, Lord Kratos lets out a final, agonizing roar of exertion. Lying exhausted and bloody, he pants that it's too hard, but his determined eye proves he hasn't given up. With a blood-stained hand, he clenches his fist in grim determination. In a flashback, Lord Kratos and Azrat are sent flying from the colossal tree demon's initial attack. A powerful tendril from the tree demon smashes the ground, violently throwing the two warriors back. The massive, gnarled arm of the demon lord flexes with immense power. The tree demon's glowing green eye narrows as it senses an emerging presence, thinking, "You." In a tender memory, Aid Zephyros holds a small, smiling demon girl with a flower in her hair. Scratch! Buried beneath the rubble, Lord Kratos' bloody hand begins to claw its way out. Lord Kratos' glowing red eye reveals his silent, unyielding resolve. A flashback shows a young, brown-haired man watching an elderly woman meticulously sorting grains. The elderly woman looks up, asking the young man what he just said. Huddled in a corner, the defeated young man admits that living is too hard. He looks down in despair, questioning why he should keep living through such hardship. In his memory, he recalls being told they are like seeds that must grow. The elderly woman's voice explains that every living thing is a seed, destined to push through the soil and sprout, no matter how hard it is. As a small sprout pushes through concrete, she says that its appearance encourages other seeds to emerge all over. A small, chibi-like version of the boy sits by the sprout, hearing her say that one day, everything will be green, as he gazes in awe at a vision of a lush forest. The young man angrily rejects the idea, shouting not to say such cheesy things. He furiously questions his fate, asking why his father died from work and his mother abandoned him, wondering if he's just a rotten seed. Crying, he declares he'll live selfishly just like his mother, and succeed all by himself. The memory shifts to him running in terror in an industrial area. As someone lies dying with an oxygen mask, calling his name, Jang Chul cries as he hears their final words. "We are all seeds," echoes the thought. As Lord Kratos' body crackles with golden energy, embracing the memory's lesson, he unleashes a powerful move, God Strike, erupting in a blaze of golden light. A blue system window appears, confusing Lord Kratos as he reads about a mana seed, an element he never saw in the game. The window details his mana seed is at level 3, granting a 30 increase to all stats, giving him hope for escape. He discovers a new skill, concentrated nutrition, which can focus all stats into one as his eye glows with power. A status window displays his balanced stats, each at 30. After an initial boost, all his stats rise to 39 as a glowing seed of power materializes. Roaring with newfound power, Lord Kratos activates concentrated nutrition, choosing to pour everything into his physical strength. His physical strength stat soars to a staggering 155 as his other attributes plummet. Crackling with immense power, Lord Kratos prepares to shatter his earthy prison. Boom! He erupts from the ground in a shower of rock and dirt as the colossal tree demon looms in the background. The sheer force of his emergence sends a powerful shockwave across the landscape. With a final explosive effort, his hand punches through the surface, and he bursts from his rocky prison. Lord Kratos stands tall and free, his dark cape billowing behind him. He faces the immense gnarled form of the tree demon that towers over him. The tree demon's eye stares in shock, wondering how Kratos could have survived in that place. Lord Kratos furiously retorts, asking why it's asking such an idiotic question when he's clearly standing right there. Two farm guards stare in disbelief, uttering, "Lord Kratos!" The entire demon army erupts in cheers, proclaiming their lord is alive and has returned, chanting for a bountiful harvest. T-Bone the dragon zips through the air, joyfully crying out its name. The little dragon affectionately smothers Lord Kratos' face in a hug. Archduke of Fog Hartok lies wounded but relieved, acknowledging their salvation but sensing trouble. Cold Monarch Saragi, also injured, warns that their enemy Planus' power is currently too strong. Black Boulder Tyrant Baal grimly concludes that Lord Kratos cannot defeat him. The tree demon Planus declares that Kratos' return is perfect for his plans. With a menacing grin, Planus threatens to kill Kratos and every last one of his subordinates at that very moment. Holding T-Bone on his shoulder, Lord Kratos smirks and defiantly tells Planus that he won't be able to kill a single one of them. As Lord Kratos strategizes, he remembers a crucial weakness. Despite its overwhelming size, Planus moves in fixed, game-like patterns. With his farmer corps assembled, a purple-haired Lord Kratos questions their readiness and orders them to group up behind him. Roaring with determination, he announces that the drills are about to begin. Lord Kratos leads his troops as they charge toward the colossal form of Planus. At his command, the demons leap left in perfect unison. Thump! A massive wooden fist smashes into the ground exactly where they just stood. He orders them to jump right, narrowly dodging another crushing blow from Planus. "Get down," he shouts, as he and his soldiers drop to the ground. As a giant hand sweeps across the battlefield, he orders them to keep rolling left to evade the attack. He then commands them to scramble backward on all fours to create distance. They leap into the air once more, avoiding a powerful vertical strike from the tree demon. The colossal Planus seethes in frustration, wondering why none of his devastating attacks are connecting with the nimble demons. Lord Kratos recognizes his chance, noting that Planus has a long recovery delay after this attack pattern. With a fierce grin, he yells for his troops to turn and face their foe. The demons pivot instantly, poised for their next command. "Taunt!" Lord Kratos yells, as he and the entire farmer corps flip off the giant demon in a synchronized gesture of defiance. "Ah!" Enraged by the disrespect, Planus lets out a furious roar as a red aura envelops his body. With a confident smirk, Lord Kratos notes that Planus has entered his predictable berserk pattern, just as game logic dictated. Seizing the opportunity, he sends his secret weapon into the fray, shouting, "Go T-Bone." Ooh! The little dragon takes a deep breath, puffing out his belly in preparation. T-Bone unleashes a powerful blast of frost breath directly at the giant. The icy blast strikes the colossal tree demon in the face, catching him completely by surprise. Lord Kratos muses that brute force won't work against a body this large, even with his own strength boosted. As T-Bone's ice spreads, Lord Kratos reveals his plan. Since Planus is a plant, they will freeze him at an extremely low temperature. He explains that the freezing will cause the water in Planus' tissues to expand and rupture from the inside. A cunning smile spreads across his face as his plan comes to fruition. T-Bone flies clear as the massive form of Planus becomes completely encased in ice. Crack! A loud cracking sound echoes as a fissure appears on the frozen demon. Planus' glowing green eye widens in shock as his frozen body begins to fail. Lord Kratos explains that a being going berserk with such immense weight is destined to self-destruct under its own pressure. Trapped and shattering, Planus looks on in confusion, wondering what is happening to him. After the battle, Lord Kratos praises an exhausted T-Bone, telling the little dragon he did a great job. With Aid Zephyros and the small demon girl watching, Lord Kratos announces that the final hit is his to deliver. He gathers his power, his muscular body tensing, for a final, decisive attack. "Mine to land," he roars, launching himself through the air toward the fractured behemoth. He declares that he will strike another weakness of a tree. Spotting his target, he identifies the weak point as the tree's knothole. He spins through the air, transforming his body into a living drill aimed at the vulnerable spot. Thwack! He strikes the knothole with devastating force. The impact travels deep inside Planus, causing him to shatter from within. Wah! Planus lets out a final, agonizing scream as a massive burst of green energy erupts from his body. Aid Zephyros and the little girl watch in stunned silence, realizing that the Demon Lord has won the impossible fight. A-A-A-A-A-R-G-H-H-H. The frozen giant continues to scream as his body crumbles into pieces. His icy form cracks and breaks apart under the immense internal pressure. The colossal tree demon finally disintegrates, his body turning to dust and smoke that drifts away. Exhausted, Lord Kratos finds it strange that a part of Planus remains, recalling that in the game, the entire body was supposed to vanish. His eyes snap open with sudden alarm. From the dissipating dust, a new humanoid figure made of wood begins to form. Lord Kratos collapses to the ground, his strength completely spent as the new threat emerges. The second form of Planus is revealed, a powerful, muscular humanoid warrior made of gnarled wood. The Farmer Corps looks on in shock and disbelief at the sight of their defeated Demon Lord. Planus reveals that he absorbed the land's nutrients and focused his power to create a new body, barely surviving the process. He recounts his origin as a cursed sprout, born from a seed that fell into a poisonous swamp. Looming over the fallen Lord Kratos, Planus declares that his mission is to cover the world in poison. With his arm transforming into deadly blades, Planus lunges forward, commanding Kratos to die. Black Boulder Tyrant Bale roars as he intercepts the attack, swinging his massive axe at Planus. Thwack! Planus effortlessly blocks the axe with his bare arm, stopping the powerful blow cold. Bale stares in stunned silence, unable to comprehend his attack being so easily nullified. With a single backhand, Planus sends Baal flying across the battlefield. Wag! Thump! Cold Monarch Saragi unleashes a flurry of spectral blades, striking Planus in the chest. Guk! She is violently thrown back by the counterforce, realizing she must watch and learn from this overwhelming power. Whack! Archduke of Fog Hartok strikes from above with a blast of purple energy, causing Planus to cry out in pain. Enraged, Planus curses the generals and brutally slams Hartok into the ground with a powerful sweep of his arm. Gasp! Azrat appears behind the staggered Planus, his curved blade dripping with sap after landing a critical blow. With a fierce glare, Azrat declares his attack a bountiful harvest. Azrat unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, skillfully dodging Planus' clumsy attacks and slicing him apart. On the ground, an exhausted Lord Kratos watches his general's assault with bated breath. Azrat's final strike decapitates Planus, whose headless body now stands motionless. The wooden warrior's form begins to crack and crumble, disintegrating into glowing green particles. Planus' body completely dissolves into a cloud of emerald dust that drifts into the sky. The remnants of the defeated demon ascend, spreading across the horizon. The particles of life energy continue to disperse, blanketing the sky. The Farmer Corps looks up in wonder as the glowing green motes rain down upon them. Lying on the ground, a relieved Lord Kratos mutters that the bastard got what he deserved. Bathed in the restorative green light, Hartok, Saragi, Baal, and Asrat recover from the intense battle. Hartok begins an official address, starting with the matter of the treasonous acts that occurred. Aid Zephyros, with T-Bone on his shoulder, steps forward to officially testify and record the victory of the Demon King's army. Hartok interrupts the formality, pumping his fist and shouting, "Yeah, Kratos!" The generals and the entire Farmer Corps erupt in a massive cheer, chanting their Demon Lord's name. Over the celebration, Lord Kratos yells for them to stop, his voice filled with frustration. His command silences the crowd, who freeze and stare at him in confusion. The cheering dies down, revealing the desolate battlefield, covered in the withered remains of their crops. A single dead leaf lies on the barren, cracked earth, a symbol of their loss. Lord Kratos kneels in despair, realizing the entire field is ruined and they must start over from nothing. He thinks grimly about his people starving and the impossible task of asking them to farm again after such a disaster. Clenching his fist, he resolves that he cannot force them to endure such harsh labor again. His 4 generals stand by, watching their lord with serious expressions. Amidst the desolation, a single leaf on the ground begins to emit a soft, green glow. The glowing leaf floats into the air, joined by the countless motes of life energy, still lingering from Planus' defeat. Elsewhere, in a dark prison, a demon tells his cellmates he heard the Demon King changed a few days ago. A small, Spectacled demon boy scoffs at the news, apathetically stating that it doesn't matter, since they're just food for other demons anyway. Gasp! A hulking, monstrous demon looms over a terrified prisoner in the crowded cell. Eek! The cell door creaks open and a massive, green-skinned demon guard enters, causing the prisoners to scream in terror. The spectacled boy sits calmly in the corner as chaos erupts, unfazed as the guard's shadow falls over him. He looks up with a bored expression, completely unintimidated by the approaching guard. The massive guard violently grabs the small boy, lifting him off the ground. Holding the boy aloft in one hand, the guard prepares to strike with the massive blade in his other. The boy remains completely expressionless, wiping his cheek with a bored look on his face. As the guard brings his sword down, the small boy effortlessly blocks the massive blade with a single hand. Lord Kratos appears, grabbing the stunned guard by the head and saving the boy from the attack. In a flashback, a younger, cloaked Lord Kratos moves swiftly through a dark hall, past defeated demons. He comes to a sudden stop, his boots kicking up dust on the stone floor. A small, spectacled demon boy sits alone on the floor as Lord Kratos' shadow looms over him. Lord Kratos looks down, questioning why the boy didn't beg for his life in fear. The boy calmly explains he wasn't scared but rather felt a sense of relief. He states with resignation that since food demons can't survive, the best choice is to simply reduce the time spent waiting to die. A smirk crosses Lord Kratos' face as he notes the boy is different from the others. Lord Kratos offers him a new purpose, appointing the boy as the chronicler of the demon race. He tells the boy it's a waste for him to be eaten, but grimly admits they must continue devouring food demons for a while longer. Looking down at the young demon, Lord Kratos vows that he will one day end the practice. The boy, now identified as a young Aid Zephyros, looks up as Kratos resolves to end the tragedy of demons devouring their own kind. The scene returns to the present, where the adult Aid Zephyros stands with the small blue creature on his shoulder. Lord Kratos, in his transformed state, stands with his back to the viewer, his long, dark hair flowing. Zephyros looks on as a defeated, armored demon kneels before him. Swoosh! He swings a hoe, beginning to till the barren land. Archduke Hartog, Cold Monarch Saragi, and Black Boulder Tyrant Ball watch the scene with grim expressions. Zephyros diligently works the soil with his hoe. Hartog observes the farming effort with a stern, critical gaze. He suddenly erupts, shouting at the farm troops and demanding to know what they are doing. Hartog furiously orders them to hurry up, level the soil, and build the ridges properly. Roused by his commands, the farm demons, including the small purple-haired girl, prepare for action. Wah! The demons charge into the field to work as Lord Kratos watches with a determined look. As the demons plow the field, they begin a traditional farming song about their hard work. Lord Kratos listens to their song, his red eye glowing with intensity. He begins shouting orders, assigning teams to find living potatoes and prepare their hoes. Lord Kratos commands Cirque to slice the seed potatoes, while Zephyros wipes the blades clean. He continues his orders, telling Hartog to command a team and ordering Azrat to fetch tools. With a powerful cry, Lord Kratos roars his ultimate goal: bountiful harvest! The demon farmers raise their hoes and rakes in unison, ready to follow his command. A large, muscular demon lets out a mighty roar, filled with agricultural fury. Black Boulder Tyrant Ball leads the charge with a primal scream, as the demons tirelessly work the land. Lord Kratos reflects on the endless struggles of farming disasters, pests, and climate change, and the need to persevere. Amidst the desolation, the small, purple-haired demon girl discovers a single potato sprout, still intact and alive. She cautiously approaches the small, glowing plant. The girl carefully tends to the sprout, realizing its value, while a defeated knight in the background begs for mercy. Wah! She cries in frustration, unable to pull the stubborn plant from the ground. Azrat appears behind her, telling the low-ranking demon to hold tight as he begins to count. After counting to 3, he yanks with incredible force. Azrat pulls the entire plant free, revealing a massive cluster of potatoes clinging to its roots. The unearthed potatoes rain down, pelting the defeated knight who is begging for his life. The little demon girl stares in wide-eyed joy at the unexpected bounty. She runs toward Lord Kratos, excitedly shouting his name. The girl proudly presents a huge potato, exclaiming at its size as Lord Kratos looks on in shock. Lord Kratos takes the potato, asking where she found it, and she explains it came out when she pulled a weed. Ah! Holding a massive potato, Lord Kratos is struck by a sudden, critical realization. He remembers a similar event from the game he played, which occurred after defeating the boss, Plenus. A flashback shows the crumbling, fragmented corpse of Plenus after his defeat. Lord Kratos recalls that in the game, plants sprouted from the boss's body, meaning its nutrients fertilized the soil. He realizes that the real Plenus was thousands of times larger, making his remains an immense source of nutrients. With newfound urgency, Lord Kratos screams for the farm troops to stop what they're doing and dig deeper. A horned demon in blue overalls shouts in amazement, declaring that the potato he's unearthed is seriously huge. Holding up a massive potato, he realizes the field isn't dead. After all, it's filled with a whole bunch of giant potatoes. Lord Kratos, holding a giant potato with the small blue creature perched on top, looks on as Aid Zephyros wonders just how many there are. The demons, including Baal and Hartok, joyfully begin harvesting the enormous potatoes from the revitalized land. Aid Zephyros turns to Lord Kratos and asks if this counts as a bountiful harvest. With a look of profound relief, Lord Kratos thinks, "Thank goodness," and confirms that it is. Overcome with emotion, Lord Kratos weeps tears of joy, clutching a potato and declaring that it's a bountiful harvest and everyone can finally eat their fill. The scene transitions to a simple wooden headquarters flying a flag in a desolate, rocky landscape. Lord Kratos sits on a makeshift throne of crates, ready to summarize the current situation of the abandoned lands. He recalls that the first Lord Sartul's rebellion was defeated, and with the Heart of Frost gone, his minions vanished, leaving the land empty. After the second Lord Plenus died, his plant-like underlings were left scattered and confused. The third Lord Ruster is still being used as a lightning rod, and Kratos wonders if they should punish his subordinates for treason. He considers the 4-star region, which belongs to the Snake Man, Tartu, who he remembers as being loyal in the game. Lord Kratos concludes that mobilizing the remnants of the 2nd and 4th regions should be easy, but decides to do so gradually to avoid having too many new mouths to feed before the next harvest. Aid Zephyros reports that they have begun preparing large-scale stew as ordered, and Lord Kratos tells him to manage the meal tickets carefully. A small, black, bat-winged demon reports that he delivered the standby orders, prompting Lord Kratos to ask if the regions are obeying, as he no longer trusts them. The bat-winged demon states that the 4-star region isn't obeying, and frustratingly asks why they aren't listening. Lord Kratos demands to know the reason for their disobedience, but the flustered demon admits he didn't ask why, leaving Kratos furious. Arg. Lord Kratos explodes with rage, grabbing the small demon and cursing the low intelligence of his subjects while demanding to know why the 4th Lord is defying him. The terrified little demon explains that when he arrived, the 4-star region was completely empty except for a few servants. A furious Lord Kratos grills the demon, who admits he didn't ask the servants anything and therefore has no idea why the region is empty. Screaming in frustration, Lord Kratos compares the experience to talking to an incompetent clerk, as Aid Zephyros silently notes how grotesquely ugly the Demon King's face remains. Aid Zephyros offers to speak with the servants himself, and a now calm Lord Kratos asks what he learned about the 4th Lord's whereabouts. Holding the crying bat-winged demon, Zephyros explains that the 4th Lord invaded human territory to collect corpses for fertilizer. Lord Kratos listens with a grim and serious expression, processing the disastrous news. Hayek. He erupts in a fit of pure panic, screaming in terror at the unbelievable stupidity of the 4th Lord's actions. His mind races, recalling the game's plot. The demon invasion is the trigger that awakens an ancient paladin who annihilates all demons on sight. Sweating profusely, he realizes the critical rule. As long as the demons don't invade, the paladin won't attack them. He envisions the powerful paladin, aged Kimchi, in his absurd magical girl outfit, standing victorious over a pile of slain demons. Lord Kratos' face contorts in absolute horror at the impending catastrophe. He leaps from his throne, shouting that he's going to stop that 4th region bastard, as Aid Zephyros calls out to him. Panicked, Aid Zephyros asks if he should send backup to assist him. Lord Kratos sprints away at full speed, yelling back that going alone is the fastest way to get there. A notification confirms his mana seed has reached level 4, and he focuses all his nutrient points into agility, boosting it by 160. He races across the landscape, determined to use every glitch and shortcut he knows to get there as fast as humanly possible. A map reveals his destination is near the Tower of Life, the Paladin's tomb, which lies just beyond the abandoned lands. The scene shifts to the imposing Magrat Fortress, the heavily fortified border between the human and demon realms. On the fortress wall, a human guard using a spyglass spots an approaching party and shouts in surprise. The guards recognize the returning envoy Asrahan, but question where all his soldiers are, seeing only his servant and an unfamiliar group. A guard welcomes Sir Azrahan back to the fortress. As his small party approaches the massive wooden gate, the commander of Magrat Fortress, Wolkos, steps forward and asks what happened to the soldiers who accompanied the envoy. A somber Rivaj Asrahan explains that they were ambushed by a horde of monsters and never even reached demon territory. Commander Wolkos grimly reflects that the king's order to explore demon territory is a frequent mission that always results in sacrifice. He gestures for Rivaj to enter and get some rest, which the envoy gratefully accepts. As Rivaj and Deol pass, the cloaked blonde man lingers behind with the commander. The cloaked man suddenly draws his sword, stopping Commander Wolkos in his tracks. As Wolkos reels in shock, the cloaked man declares, "But not you," while Rivaj and Deol look back in alarm. The cloaked man's eyes glow with intense focus and determination. Commander Wolkos stares in bewildered shock, completely caught off guard by the sudden hostility. Rivaj quickly intervenes, explaining the cloaked man saved him, but Wolkos sternly reminds him of the fortress rule. Only those who exit through the gate may enter. The scene opens on a makeshift wooden building flying a flag, identified as the temporary Demon King's castle. Inside, Aid Zephyros reports to Lord Kredos and his generals that the giant king potatoes they harvested are sterile and cannot be replanted. Hartuk explains that the potatoes were mutated, losing their ability to reproduce. Baal asks if they're inedible, but Saragi clarifies they are edible but finite. Once they're eaten, they're gone for good. Lord Kredos reflects that they couldn't rely solely on potatoes anyway, as they are too vulnerable to disease. Azrat grimly notes they must plant something else, but then wonders what could possibly grow in their barren land. Lord Kredos thinks that nothing else can grow here, but then a new idea begins to form. Aid Zephyros mentions he knows a place full of seeds, causing Lord Kredos to look up with sudden realization. Lord Kredos reveals his idea to his shocked generals. They will get seeds from the human lands. Baal furiously objects, shouting that this means invasion and war, but Saragi tells him to calm down. Saragi states that the person who despises war more than anyone is the Demon King himself, who sits thoughtfully on his throne. Changing tactics, Lord Kredos orders Aid Zephyros to immediately create a large amount of demon currency, called Chuno. He adds that Zephyros is to stay behind and help Hartok manage the farming core. With a confident grin, Lord Kredos reveals his plan. They will go to the human lands not to fight, but to sell Chuno and buy seeds. He thinks that as long as they avoid a certain powerful hero, there's always a way to succeed. His generals stand before him, awaiting their orders. Aid Zephyros thinks Lord Kredos has lost his mind, and questions why he should even entertain such a nonsensical plan. He points out the absurdity of sending the 3 great demon generals into human territory. He describes Baal as looking like an outright monster. He continues his critique, calling Asrat a walking red flag who looks like a serial killer with an unnatural skin tone. Finally, he insults Saragi, describing her as a pale, sickly-looking human-octopus hybrid. Zephyros concludes that any human who saw them would immediately identify them as demons and attack on sight. Enraged, Saragi and Asrat corner Zephyros, threatening him as he insists he's only being rational. Baal loudly proclaims that he's the only normal-looking one, to which Azrat retorts that Baal looks the most demonic of all. Asrat mocks another's lack of self-awareness, calling him an old zombie. Saragi laughs at them all, but is promptly shouted down and called a gastro girl and an octopus woman. The argument escalates into a full-blown brawl among the 4 generals, right in front of the throne. Lord Kredos watches, bored, thinking that his generals have such fragile egos he almost feels sorry for them. Raising a hand, Lord Kredos calmly tells them to stop. He decides to lighten the mood with a joke, grinning as he tells them not to fight, since none of them are good-looking enough to show off anyway. The generals fall silent, and Lord Kredos muses that while his joke wasn't funny, at least it worked to quiet them down. Lord Kredos asks Zephyros if he brought the items from the secret shortcut in Sarathul's castle. Zephyros unveils a red cloth, revealing a handful of small, squishy blue blob-like creatures. Kulaki'u. The cute, spotted blue creatures wiggle and make soft noises. Saragi stares in disgust as one of the creatures leaps towards her, wondering what they are. Lord Kratos explains with a devilish grin that these are elixirs of metamorphosis, which will allow them to transform into non-demon creatures. With this, he declares, they will transform and infiltrate the human lands. A general shouts in disbelief at being told to eat the creatures, but Lord Kratos sarcastically asks if they thought it was skin lotion. Unfazed, Bale declares he isn't picky and grabs one of the blue slimes. Crunch! He pops the creature into his mouth and eats it as his comrades watch in stunned silence. Baal recoils, yelling that it tastes awful, prompting Lord Kratos to ask if he expected it to be delicious. Whoa! Bale suddenly levitates, enveloped in a brilliant golden light as the others watch in shock. Lord Kratos explains that the transformation is based on the drinker's personality, hoping no one turns into something too feral. The brilliant light from Bale's transformation intensifies, obscuring his new form. As the light fades, a new silhouette appears in the smoke, with a voice stammering that the change is complete. The smoke clears to reveal Baal has transformed into a handsome, bare-chested man with long, flowing red hair, striking a pose. A system notification explains the elixir reflects one's innermost desires, making Lord Kratos realize with a grimace that this is Bale's true self. Declaring the Demon Lord's order absolute, a blushing Saragi punches one of the elixirs, with Kratos thinking she must want to be beautiful too. Saragi is consumed by a bright flash of light as her own transformation begins. Two demons with pointed ears flee in terror, begging for food and mercy. Archduke of Fog Hartok somberly asks Aide Zephyros how many giant poop rolls they have, and Zephyros confirms they have a lot. Aide Zephyros reflects on the many mouths they have to feed, and the even greater number of days they must survive. Archduke of Fog Hartok lowers his head in silent, heavy contemplation. A gray-skinned man with long, dark hair declares that while he's gone, the person he's speaking to is the Demon Lord and must act like one. The recipient of the order, Hartok, remains silent, his expression unreadable. Adjusting his monocle, Archduke of Fog Hartok accepts his new role, ordering the races to form settlements while he promises to secure food. The scene shifts to a forest, where aged Kimchi spots a strange party emerging from the bushes, a transformed Asrat, a transformed Baal, and two strange beasts pulling a wagon. Aged Kimchi confronts the group, demanding to know the true identity of Sir Kim Jang-chul. A flustered Asrat stammers while Bale offers to knock out aged Kimchi, referring to Asrat as bad stench. Asrat furiously scolds Baal for being reckless, telling the dummy to look closely at the man called Old Kimchi. Asrat asks if Kimchi looks like someone whose power can be easily estimated, and Bale admits he found him a bit scary at first. Aged Kimchi calmly states, "I can hear you," causing the transformed Asrat to blush with panicked embarrassment. Aged Kimchi ponders the mystery of Kim Jang-chul, who once led him to slaughter, but now seems to seek peace, questioning his true intentions. Asrat begins his explanation, stating their land lacks food, and that the wagon behind them contains their regional specialties for trade. He frantically declares they've come to sell chunos and buy vegetable seeds to survive. Aged Kimchi explains they tried to leave secretly to avoid being caught and were aiming for the nearest city because the capital was too far. Asrat bows deeply, apologizing and pleading for understanding due to their extreme hunger, while privately planning to appeal to Kimchi's sympathy. Aged Kimchi and Asrat share a tense, silent stare-down. Aged Kimchi discerns that while Asrat is hiding something, he isn't lying about the core issue. Demons are starving and have resorted to eating humans. Asrat grits his teeth, realizing Aged Kimchi understands their plight, but still won't simply let them go. Aged Kimchi states that since Azrahan vouched for them to present a tribute to the king, he cannot let his friend down. He proposes a deal. They may stop to sell their chunos and buy seeds, but they must then continue their journey to the royal capital. Aged Kimchi adds that the two beasts with them are to be the tribute to the king, much to the creature's visible annoyance. Asrat eagerly agrees, claiming the beasts are junk anyway, while privately noting how serious Kimchi is. The beasts glare in disbelief. Asrat's face contorts with menacing resolve as he thinks that he's lying and plans to ditch Aged Kimchi the moment he gets the seeds. As the group travels through a lush, green landscape, narration notes they will have to sell their chunos along the way. Rivaj Azrahan asks to see the chunos, and Asrat explains they're just slightly bigger, cooked potatoes, as the blue llama creature glares. With a wide grin, Asrat pulls back a tarp, revealing a wagon full of large, lumpy, rock-like potatoes. Rivaj Asrahan looks on with mild amusement, while his servant, Dio Frontera, stares in shock at the strange potatoes. Rivaj laughs and wishes them good luck with their sales, prompting an exasperated Dial to shout, "Young master!" Dial suggests presenting the valuable-looking potato as tribute, but Azrat is confused why anyone would want a big, ugly potato. Dial insists it's massive, but Azrat scoffs, joking that if size made one king, the tallest person would rule. Rivaj jokes that Dial likes it because it looks like him, enraging Dial, who vows to get rich and enslave his master one day. Dial continues to grumble in frustration, while Rivaj smiles and Azrat looks on thoughtfully. Azrat considers that Potato Head Dial might be right. The strange potatoes could be impressive enough to earn a reward from the king. Meanwhile, aged Kimchi walks ahead, focused on the real priority, getting away from this situation before their cover is blown. Rivaj Asrahan cheerfully points ahead, announcing they've arrived at their destination. Azrahan welcomes the party to the commercial city of Daparachia as their wagon approaches the large, walled town. Thanks to Azrahan's connections, Azrat and Baal get a room at an inn, and so does aged Kimchi's group. The two beast creatures, however, are left tied up outside the inn, looking miserable. Inside, their room is surprisingly shabby, raising suspicion about why an inn in a commercial city would have such poor quality rooms available. Azrat and Baal lead their wagon through the streets, ready to begin their first goal, selling chuno. The ostrich-like beast asks if they're really being given to the king, but Azrat reassures it that it's just his precious lightning rod on a short break. The blue llama-like creature looks around, sensing something is off and noting that human markets are supposed to be bustling. The small party stands alone in a vast, empty cobblestone plaza, the city eerily silent. Azrat observes the unsettling quiet, realizing the economy is in shambles and worrying if they can sell anything at all. Crash. He dumps a pile of the rock-like potatoes onto a display table with forceful determination. Azrat stands at his lonely stall in the empty street, beginning his sales pitch for the potato-sized chunos. He desperately shouts to the empty streets, advertising his nutritious chunos and urging any potential customers to come take their pick. Archduke of Fog, Hartok, announces his plan to boil poop paper in water, believing it will feed more demons. With a furious roar, Hartok declares that not a single demon should be left starving in their forsaken land. Aide Zephyros, with a small blue creature on his shoulder, watches his lord's outburst with a calm, analytical expression. Zephyros wonders why Hartok maintains a murderous expression even while doing good, questioning if it's simply his demonic nature. He reflects that everything began to change the moment the demon lord declared his intention to start farming. Indeed, the once cruel Lord Hartok is now dedicating himself to finding food for his fellow demons. Hartok remains silent for a moment, listening to his aide's observations. He then turns with a menacing grin, his eyes glowing with newfound determination. Zephyros points out that their massive stone pot will need immense fuel, but Hartok dismisses the concern, saying the alternative is destroying demon homes. Hartok reveals their new mission. They will journey to the sealed volcano in the 3-star zone to hunt the Devourer of Fire, shocking Zephyros. The scene shifts to a vast, peaceful landscape featuring a large fortress nestled among green hills and mountains. A pair of buckled shoes steps firmly onto a cobblestone path. An elderly, white-haired man with a cane, identified as Merchant Richmond, walks forward with his entourage. Merchant Richmond and his cloaked companion arrive at an inn, with Richmond confirming this is their destination. Richmond sternly tells his green-haired aide, Ruslan, that he has disappointed him, leaving the young man shocked. He scolds Ruslan for being frightened by a country bumpkin's bluff, calling him too stupid to handle important matters. Humiliated, Ruslan listens as he's ordered to stay behind. As Richmond walks away, he vows to teach Ruslan how to properly take advantage of the uneducated. Left alone before a closed door, Ruslan wonders who is inside. From within, a voice introduces himself as Richmond, a humble merchant who has come as summoned. A voice from inside invites him in, and as the door creaks open, Richmond politely asks to be excused. Richmond internally smirks, thinking that feigned courtesy is the best way to disarm the ignorant, as polite predators are the most effective. He enters the room to find a bizarre group shrouded in a menacing red aura. 2 strange beasts and their 2 masters. Breaking into a cold sweat, Richmond is utterly terrified by the sight. Muttering a prayer to his mother, transformed Azrat, his face cast in shadow, calmly invites the merchant to have a seat. As Richmond nervously sits, he can't shake the feeling that he's negotiating with actual demons. The bizarre group has their own thoughts. The beasts question their situation in human-like faces, while Baal drools, making Azrat think he looks even scarier. The merchant's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Azrat pushes back against the price, casually mentioning that a certain young Master Azrahan is part of their group. The name freezes Richmond in his tracks. He repeats the Azrahan family in disbelief. With a sinister grin, Azrat explains that the Azrahans are powerful nobles, subtly threatening Richmond to get on their good side. Outside, Richmond announces to a shocked Ruslan that the deal is set at 300. He then orders Ruslan to escort the entire party to their mansion and prepare rooms for everyone, including the beasts, as it is now part of the contract. Ruslan angrily questions his master's generosity towards such ignorant fools. Richmond furiously calls him an idiot, explaining that a calculated loss now will lead to a much greater reward later. The merchant walks off, leaving a fuming Ruslan in his wake. Ruslan glares after his master, his expression dark and resentful. In their new room, Baal suggests simply killing their hosts, but Azrat chides him for his simplistic thinking. Azrat explains that a fight could break their transformations, potentially starting a devastating war between humans and demons. He grins deviously, concluding that their best option is to avoid conflict and simply rob their hosts blind. Azrat lays out his plan, explaining that monopolizing a market requires a legal backer, money, and one other crucial thing. That thing is a massive food warehouse, and he declares their goal is to find its location while staying at the mansion. The blue llama-like creature addresses Azrat as Demon Lord, preparing to ask a question. It asks how Azrat knows so much about human nature, questioning if he once lived among them. Azrat remains silent, his expression unreadable. His eye glows red as he smirks, claiming he knows everything simply because he is the Demon Lord and is activating a cheat code. The generals are immediately convinced, while Azrat privately thinks that fools are always quick to believe. Elsewhere, the cloaked blonde man stands alone in a hallway, waiting outside a closed door. He ponders whether his current path is one of plundering humans or destiny, but quickly dismisses the idea. He concludes with certainty that this is all the work of Demon Lord Kratos, whose maniacal grin flashes in his mind. The scene opens on a grand, sprawling European-style estate, identified as Richmond's mansion. Inside a luxurious room, Dial Frontera marvels at their fine accommodations, while Rivaj Azrahan asks Lord Kim Jang-gyul how he managed it. Azrat, using the name Kim Jang-gyul, calmly explains that he simply sold their royal potato chunyo, and this is their reward. Rivaj is surprised the potato had value, but Diol shouts in a panic that it was absurdly huge and meant as tribute for the king. Rivaj teases Diol, suggesting he liked the potatoes because they share similar facial features, which infuriates Diol. Dial frantically asks Azrat if he sold all the potatoes, and Azrat coolly confirms that he sold every single one. Arr! Dial screams in absolute despair as Azrat begins to explain his true intentions. With a devious look, Azrat declares they'll get the potatoes back by stealing them, proposing that he and a newly determined Dial work together. Rivaj is shocked by the sudden talk of stealing, as Dial hides his face in his hand. Azrat confirms with a wicked grin that they're going to steal everything their hosts have hoarded. Rivaj raises a hand in protest, telling Azrat that he cannot condone such an act. Azrat challenges him, asking if he can condone the merchant hoarding all the food and ruining the city's economy. Meanwhile, one of the massive chunyos is transported by cart, escorted by armored guards, as Ruslan watches from a distance. Ruslan looks on with an annoyed expression, muttering about how hard they must be working. Azrat approaches with a cheerful wave, asking Ruslan if he's taking their chunyo to the warehouse now. Ruslan reluctantly confirms this is the case, internally seething at what an eyesore Azrat is. With a sly grin, Azrat asks to see the warehouse, claiming he just wants to ensure his chunyo is stored properly. Ruslan flatly refuses, stating the warehouse is confidential, but Azrat childishly pesters him about the reason. Azrat gets uncomfortably close, demanding to see the warehouse and citing his confidence, while Ruslan complains about his pushiness. Throwing a full-blown tantrum, Azrat collapses on the ground, demanding to be shown the warehouse as Ruslan yells that there's a limit. Diol, driving the cart, is ordered by an exasperated Ruslan to move out already. Wham! Azrat dramatically throws himself in front of the moving cart, Lying on the cobblestones, Azarat refuses to move, declaring they'll have to step over him or take him to the warehouse. Diol tries to drag him away, but Azarat protests that this is his room and asks where he's supposed to go. Azarat begins screaming, "Warehouse! Warehouse!" over and over, pushing an already irate Ruslan to his breaking point. From a nearby window, Baal and the two beasts provide backup, singing a jaunty tune about the warehouse's location. They continue their song, tauntingly asking to be taken there this spring. The blue llama-like creature looks on with utter disgust, thinking it doesn't want to admit this embarrassing man is their demon lord. From another window, Revaj watches as Azarat sings a lament about his chunyo fading away and rotting in the dark warehouse. Revaj blushes with secondhand embarrassment, wondering why Azarat is behaving this way. Dial, however, looks on with grim admiration, calling Azarat's shameless display the mark of a real man. Much to Rivaj's confusion, Dial clenches his fist, resolving that he should learn from Azarat's willingness to abandon dignity for a goal and use it in his next life. Rivaj looks down, questioning Azarat's earlier confidence as his performance continues with a song about cockroaches eating the chunyo. Azarat explains to Revaj that properly investigating and punishing their host's crimes through the royal court would take far too long. His expression grows somber as he considers the consequences of such a delay. With tears streaming down his face, Azarat cries that in all that time, the citizens will continue to starve, a fact he cannot bear. Overcome with emotion, Rivaj covers his mouth, moved to tears by Azarat's passionate plea. Azarat looks down, stating he believed Lord Azrahan would understand his motives. He shouts with righteous fury that what the wicked have stolen rightfully belongs to the people. Hearing Azarat's desperate cries for the warehouse, Rivaj finally understands his deep resolve and vows to give it his all as well. Now serious, Azarat states he will find the warehouse and asks Lord Azrahan to prepare what he requested. Rivaj asks how they'll uncover the warehouse's location, just as Azarat's face contorts into a pained, manic grin. Azarat is brutally thrown to the ground by the guards, who count 1, 2. With a powerful kick, the guards send him flying and count 3. Azarat scrambles back up, and the frustrated guards remark on his insane persistence, comparing him to a punching bag as they hurry to leave. As the cart finally pulls away, Azarat stays on the ground, watching Ruslan and the escort depart. He slumps forward, seemingly defeated, with tears of triumph streaming down his face. Azarat laughs hysterically and declares, "Bloodshot! Complete." A close-up reveals a small, glowing device has been successfully attached to Ruslan's cape. A tracking screen materializes, revealing Ruslan's destination, a secret warehouse beneath the mining outskirts. The tracker also notes he is expected to be annoyed for the next 7 hours. Azarat tells his companions that the villains they face are likely just people trying to survive and don't deserve to die. With a look of compassion, Azarat resolves not to hurt them further, believing they may already carry deep emotional wounds. Aged Kimchi listens silently, his expression unreadable as he processes Azarat's words. As they venture deeper into the unguarded cave, Aged Kimchi notes that their enemies must not have anticipated them getting this far. Shh. Aged Kimchi suddenly puts a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. They discover their path blocked by an enormous snowflake-marked door, guarded by a single, massive golem. A wicked grin spreads across Azarat's face as he chuckles, realizing this place feels exactly like a warehouse. Azarat prepares to act, but Aged Kimchi stops him, warning that someone is approaching. Hearing a footstep, both turn their heads in alarm. Merchant Richmond appears, walking confidently toward the guarded door with his entourage of golems. Beep beep. The giant golem's red eyes activate, challenging Richmond and denying him entry. Ding! Richmond calmly touches the golem's central blue eye with his ringed finger. The golem's eye scans his hand, confirming his blood and granting him a formal welcome. The massive doors grind open, revealing a glowing blue portal as Richmond and his guards step through. Watching from the shadows, Azarat realizes the security system uses blood identification. An impossibly wide, sinister grin splits Azarat's face as he declares, this revelation makes his plan much easier. Inside, they find a colossal warehouse with endless rows of shelves stacked high with food crates. Azarat's jaw drops in astonishment at the sheer scale of the hoard. He marvels at the perfectly preserved bread, vegetables, and seeds, unable to believe how much they've stored. Azarat turns to his companion, calmly stating, Aged Kimchi, there will be a slight adjustment to the plan. He points to 3 golems clustered together, and orders aged Kimchi to destroy them all in a single strike. "That's easy," aged Kimchi replies, blurring into motion. With a mighty swing of his greatsword, aged Kimchi cleaves through a golem, shattering it instantly. He lands amidst the wreckage of the defeated golems as Aserat looks on. Suddenly, Aserat grabs Merchant Richmond from behind, who shouts in shock, demanding to know who's there. With a furious cry, Aserat lands a devastating punch squarely on Richmond's face. Aged Kimchi watches the brutal attack with a grim, stoic gaze. Aserat holds the bloodied merchant aloft, Richmond's cane flying through the air as his body goes limp. Looking at his companion's violent display, aged Kimchi concludes that Aserat is nothing short of a madman. In another location, muscular demons in overalls toss massive chunyo into a boiling mixture. Atop a massive, draconic furnace beast, a demon orders the fire to be prepared for a bountiful harvest. A demon farm guard shouts, "Ignite!" as he raises a tool to strike the beast. He strikes the creature's back, sending a shower of sparks toward its head. A torrent of fire erupts from the beast's mouth, roasting rows of chunyo on a massive grill. The cooked chunyo now sit ready, glowing with heat. A crowd of demons, including children, cheer with delight, exclaiming that the chunyo stew is finally boiling. Aide Zephyros is informed that everything is proceeding according to Lord Hartok's plan. Hartok looks sullen, and Zephyros notes he's gloomy because he failed to capture the fire beast in style. As T-Bone diligently takes notes, Zephyros recalls that the little dragon was the one who actually caught the beast, leaving Hartok feeling pathetic. Hartok glares sideways, clearly annoyed by the memory. Zephyros thinks that Hartok, the clever demon, had a plan, but then tells him he seems to have missed that T-Bone made it all possible. An underling praises Chief Foreman Hartok's idea for multiplying their food supply several times over. Inspired, the entire demon workforce begins chanting ELITE in Hartok's honor. Overwhelmed by the praise, Hartok trembles as the chant continues. Wah! Hartok flails in embarrassment, shouting that it was an obvious idea, as another demon gleefully points out he's flustered. Back in the warehouse, Aserat strains, his hands pressed against a heavy surface. "Ugh," he grunts, putting all his strength into lifting the immense weight. With veins popping on his forehead, he screams that it's too heavy. The camera pulls back to reveal Baal is also underneath the object, struggling with a pained expression. The gray ostrich-like beast sweats profusely, crying out that they can't hold on much longer. Wham! With a powerful cry, the transformed Lord Kratos unleashes a massive wave of dark purple energy. The devastating attack leaves a field of shattered, insect-like golems in its wake. The dark magical torrent continues to surge forward, carrying debris in its destructive path. A man with light gray hair and white robes stands defiantly, bracing himself against the overwhelming force. Thunk. The gray-haired man's foot lands firmly on the head of a fallen golem, crushing it. Lord Kratos looks on with a strained and sweating expression, surprised by his opponent's resilience. The cloaked blonde man glares with a shadowed face, thinking that in the end, his foe was a demon after all.